Oh, Mr. Todd, I'm so happy. I could eat you up, I really could. You know what I'd like to do, Mr. Todd? What a dream. If the business stays as good, where I'd really like to go in a year or so.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Film Buds.
135.
This is, you got it. This is 135.
Yes.
And my name is Henry.
I'm Chloe.
And we got a great show for you. We have a review of Hamilton now on Disney Plus, and we also have a retro review of something a little different. Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street.
I have a question real quick. Am I an idiot? Because, okay, well, actually, let me back up.
Okay.
First, I have a confession, but it's not really. I'm pretending that I did it intentionally in order to, you know, people's perspectives, being and also, we should say we have, so it's not just the two of us, Henri, so that's so exciting. So I said, wow, maybe I should, because we've had some reviews that are like, we listen even if we haven't watched, like I listen even if I haven't watched the stuff, which like, thank you for your patronage, right? And so I was like, wow, let me reach out at this time where please don't, 6 feet apart, except actually it's 10, but okay.
Right.
It's like how everyone thinks you're pregnant for 9 months. You're actually pregnant for 10 months. But anyway, so you reach.
Chloe, you're glowing.
You need to stop. You keep doing that.
Well, that was a joke, but.
Oh yeah, anyways. Henry, you're glowing. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that's a throwback. Timmy and I like to keep our life private. Okay, so
it's true.
I can't look at the screen right now. The reactions of the. Okay,
no, you're fine.
So I was like, let me be, I want to be where the people are, a little bit Princess Jasmine over here as well. So I was like, okay, so I just didn't watch Hamilton.
Oh.
So I'm one out of the group, so I can be the one who's like, oh, so like, how fun, because I really love being a reactionary, now this part's genuine, aside from me being, myself, who's a little spin lady, but I love, it goes against how I come off, but I am an observer. I am a listener. I love to you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Seriously. But I don't usually get to do it on here, so wow.
Well, what a big bomb drop there.
True. So now I'm not backed up anymore. Now we're at the place where I was like, I have a question where I might sound really stupid. Is it true that Hamilton references Sweeney Todd? Maybe? At the very beginning? Apparently the opening is like, wow, we got some cute little thinking faces here. We're like, kind of maybe. Okay, so this was the thing I saw. So anyway.
Wow. All right. Well, yeah, we have a
How
review
are you,
of
Henry?
that. Huh?
How are you?
Oh, not too bad.
That's great. You got a haircut? It's beautiful.
I did. I got it. I had to get a new lady.
Okay. You're glowing.
Thank you so much. And anyways, I hope you're well too, Chloe, by the way.
To be honest, that's why I did not watch Hamilton. I have been having moment after moment.
Oh, hey, it's okay.
It's like, whoa.
No, I'm sure, and I'm sorry that's been happening.
# migraine life. Did you know migraines are in your nose? I was like, my nose hurts all the time. I had to go to my doctor yesterday, in person. I was like, bro, my nose, am I Tom Riddling over here? Am I on the cusp? And she was like, no, that's the thing. And I was like, MG. So now I'm not as worried about my nose falling off, which is good because that's really unfortunate. That happens to people. So I don't mean to make light of it, but so
I believe you.
Gratitude. Yeah.
And all right. Well, yeah. Well, as Chloe alluded to, we are joined this time by 2 special guests.
Whoa.
2.
They're not Henry. It's more than special is not enough. I don't know. My heart is full. I have been, and I say that I've been near empty this week, but I am
oh, I'm so sorry.
Full. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I just ate a 10-course meal is full. Okay?
Yeah.
Very exciting. Minus the tummy ache.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Chloe.
Also, to see you is great. So
it's great to see you as well.
My little desk lamp. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. First off, returning to the show is our friend Henry Wilkinson.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm shooketh about a first-time podcast
Is this really the first time?
Can you even?
I cannot even. I'm so glad to be here for that.
Wow.
Yes.
A moment in history.
Oh my God.
Yes, and joining us for the first time, although technically she was on the video thing that has not been released yet.
Come out.
Yeah, it's. But joining us for the first time on the regular show is our friend Ali Schwartz.
Oh.
So.
It's taken long enough.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
So
it's
exciting.
Nice to see everybody.
Yeah.
So I corrected myself that time.
Thank you. Prior, Henry alluded to the fact that he is all but excited to. He doesn't care that I'm here, which I understand.
Chloe, I could never. I
care that all of you are here.
Yeah,
yes.
No, that's the best treat. Just seeing all your faces.
Well, how's everybody doing this week?
Well, not to be like that.
No, please.
And Wilkie, let me know how you feel about this. This is a safe, open space.
It's so strange that you mentioned that you had a migraine because I had one 2 days ago. And the nose thing is totally right because my deviated septum, it's like related, like my sinuses or something. It causes me to have migraines pretty often.
Yeah, that's
so like people don't realize that it's the nose.
You should try like my mom, how she hit it into that window and it fixed it. Or was that when it broke?
Maybe so.
No. It was when she plopped on the side.
Break my nose?
No. It was when she plopped on the sidewalk in France and she fixed it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. This is not.
I would take that over paying like
thousands
and thousands of dollars for surgery.
Yeah. Don't drink Clorox and don't intentionally slam your face.
Don't intentionally harm yourself.
Yeah.
No.
Don't put Clorox in your bloodstream. No. Don't do any of that.
No. But tell me if you since it's Allie's first time, I feel like it's not just like a how are you? It's like a formal. It's like a who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you?
That's a really deep question. You can take that in a whole variety of ways.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Allie, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Libra.
So, sorry. Oh, Libra. I am a Libra. Very true to form. I've known Chloe basically most of my life at this point. Hermie and Kaylee have always been kind of the trifecta, so I'm sure I've heard Chloe talk on the show a lot about the three of us. We've just basically all grown up together. And then I met Henry probably about like 3-ish years ago. And and so
just both.
But
you're now one.
Although we went to Sewell at the same time.
That's true.
Crossed paths a few times.
No, that's true. So Henry Wilkinson.
Oh, you knew about each other in high school, right?
Way back in like elementary school. I remember Wilkie, and I remember we met up at Chloe's party, and we saw each other, and we were getting along so well, and we looked at each other, and we were like, we know each other, don't we? Like there was like that like thing where you're like squinting at each other, going like, I've seen this person before.
But from where?
But we totally we deduced that it was.
To be fair, Wilkie didn't have a mustache then.
That's true.
I was a small,
he did not.
baby-faced child.
You had curlier hair, I think, too.
Yeah.
I remember that. So, but so cool to be here with the whole gang. And I'm a resident of Orlando, Florida. I work for Disney. And so I love my super basic Disney movies, Marvel movies, Star Wars, basically all that stuff.
You like everything, though, to be fair. You see the indie movies as well. Oh my God.
I totally will. I just love movies.
I'm sorry, Henri. You're about to be cut out of the equation yet again. So, pardonnez-moi.
Oh, no, it's all good.
The three of us, if I'm not mistook, did we see Shape of Water together? What did the three? No.
We saw Mary Poppins.
Mary Queen of Scots. Oh.
We saw Mary Poppins and Mary Queen of Scots.
All together now?
The two Marys.
So cute. Oh my God.
Yeah. Those movies are really good.
Next time there's a Mary movie, you know where we'll be.
Go.
You know where I'll be. I'm going to fly to North Carolina just for that.
You're welcome to attend in addition.
I would love to.
But that's such fun. Okay, cute.
Yeah. So,
and Allie has also written a book, correct? Illustrated.
Oh my gosh, the best.
So talented.
And it represents my
you.
life as well. It's great. My family members call me the GOAT because of the narcolepsy.
No, I wrote, it was a senior thesis project for my college. I really like art and I really like writing. So, and I'm also very passionate about mental health awareness and children. So I decided to write and illustrate a children's book to help kids with anxiety. So
it's so cute. It's so good.
It's about a fainting goat. So it's a goat at a petting zoo who is afraid of people, and every time people get near him, he falls over.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man.
Yeah. F off George Clooney. This is the story we wanted.
Right.
What? That was too dusty a reference? Men who stare at goats. Dang.
Oh, I got it.
That movie sucks.
It's not great.
Thank you guys for having me on. This is so exciting.
Oh yeah.
Oh, also, you much like Wilkie are a Broadway connoisseur.
Yes,
I am.
We've seen
love
many a
Broadway.
show together. But
I worked in New York City one summer, and I literally saw like
all of them.
10 Broadway shows. I was only there for 8 weeks, and I literally averaged, I think, like more than a show a week overall for the time I was in New York City. That's where all of my check went.
We should say lotteries. This girl played the game.
Oh yeah. I was not buying like full price. I always was doing either lotteries or I would get up really early in the morning on a weekend and go rush. So I'd go like wait in line for hours.
Can I say
rush tickets are where it's at?
Yep.
May I say Allison finally won the lottery for, was it Dear Evan Hansen, and she didn't go because Kaylee and I were there for the weekend.
Book of Mormon.
Oh, that's fine then. No one cares. Dang. I really hyped you up on that one, but all right.
The thing that was crazy about that is that was the first digital lottery I won. Usually digital lotteries are insanely impossible to get because anyone can enter them. The nice thing about in-person lotteries is you have to actually, be there. So you're talking a difference of like 150 people versus literally thousands of people. And that was the only time I ever won a digital lottery. I was with Kaylee and Chloe, and I got a text message that it was like, hey, you won tickets to Book of Mormon. And I was like, oh, my friends are in town, and they're more important.
So I have to wash my hair. So sorry, I can't.
Now, if it was Dear Evan Hansen, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, honestly, if it was Dear Evan, it was bye, see you later.
So, yeah.
Well, Henry, what about you? What have you been up to these days?
Just being perfect as always.
Sure, you could say that. We just got HBO. So I've started Westworld finally. I've started Game of Thrones.
Wow.
There's one more. I was watching Perry Mason with my dad.
Oh, don't tell me.
So
I'm not watching it because it's coming out week by week, right? And that is not my jam.
Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah, I don't like it either. I want to be able to like sit down and watch it all. So
because I got anxiety.
I think I'm gonna wait. Yeah, I don't like the like cliffhanger stuff. It messes with me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel you there. But so yeah, I don't know. I've been a little less productive with my art lately because I've been so preoccupied with HBO.
The negative space,
well, it happens.
Wilkie. It's all important.
Yeah. True. And I got an iPad finally, so I can create digital work again.
Nice.
Which makes me so happy because my computer's dead. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
I've been doing a few commissions for people, which has been fun.
Sweet.
But yeah, it's been a good time.
Yeah.
Considering, the craziness.
Of course,
yeah. Certainly.
We should say this podcast is in a vacuum.
Yeah.
I think we all safely acknowledge and try to contribute to the betterment of and take to heart the state of the world in basically every way. So as I assume the film buddies do. So a little bit of a reprieve.
Like let this be a happy place. You know?
I hope it is.
Granted, I think Sweeney Todd is an allegory for capitalism, but that might just be me being crazy. Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
That's what the intention was.
I was being me. Oh, great.
No. Yeah, it's all about like dehumanization and how the Industrial Revolution, contributed to oppression.
Wow, amazing.
Interesting.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. I'm just glad.
We'll get to it.
Dang.
Yeah. Well, Chloe, anything else going on with you these days?
No. Yeah, there was something, but I have no idea what it was. But it probably was nothing. You know how it be.
Yeah.
Henry, how have you been?
Thank you so much.
He said, that doesn't compute. What's that?
Well, I guess I should.
I'm a desk lamp.
Yeah, I should update because I've talked about it the last few weeks. Yeah, I do have good news. My dog is fine.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, Allie, I know you heard about it. Henry, I don't know if you had.
I think I heard like a little periphery about like.
To give people a refresher, they found a growth on my dog's spleen, and this past week she had surgery, and the options were, we thought it was either going to be a malignant or benign tumor, but they didn't tell us of a secret third option, a good option.
The third door, yeah.
It turns out that the growth was a hematoma, and while it was very good to have it removed, she has no sign of cancer. And she's starting to gain her weight back as well already. And she just needs a little more time to recover, and she's back out on the streets, doing her thing.
Exciting.
So, yeah, that was a nice relief.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
So happy to hear
it's
that.
so good to hear.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Poor sweetie.
Yeah.
I hope she recovers quickly.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. My cat's
we I guess we do have a lot to talk about, so we should maybe jump in. Is everybody ready to go?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right.
Let's do it.
Well, let's get into our first review, which is Hamilton, and we do have a clip, so take a listen.
The $10 founding father without a father got a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being a self-starter. To your union and the hope that you provide, may you always be satisfied.
All right, well, Hamilton is directed by Thomas Kail, and it stars Lin-Manuel Miranda. Oh boy,
Just let Allie do it from memory. Watch her go.
Allie,
Go for it, Allie. Jonathan Groff, who's like in it for 5 seconds, but whatever.
Leslie Odom Jr., Philippa Sue.
Leslie Odom Jr., Renee, Elise Goldsberry. You already said Jonathan Groff. David Diggs.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, Anthony Ramos.
He's in it? In the Heights guy is in it?
Girl,
wow.
This is how we got to start.
How exciting.
what a start.
And yeah.
Ariana DeBose. She's in the ensemble.
She's going to be in West Side Story.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. She's playing Anita, right?
Oh, the best role.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I don't know if we made this clear enough for everybody, but again, Henri, you're wonderful. You're perfect.
You are
a
too.
Shining star, the kindest heart. Wow.
You are too. You are too.
That,
the goodest boy.
That said, our two guests have incredible, unparalleled love, passion, and knowledge about the world of the Broadway.
Yes,
so,
indeed.
Wow.
I am nowhere near.
No.
And
That's really fun.
The synopsis is the real life of one of America's foremost founding fathers and the first Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, captured live on Broadway from the Richard Rodgers Theater with the original Broadway cast. So this one just premiered on Disney Plus recently.
And it upticked at like 70% or something.
It was a crazy increase, for the Mm-hmm. Well, who wants to start off?
I will.
Y'all, please, Chloe.
Yeah.
You can
go ahead, Chloe.
I know, Wilkie, the only thing, and I've been saying this to people, the only thing I know about Hamilton is that one song that the girls like to sing, or they like to sing.
Oh, Our Girls.
/ Thems. Yeah. Theys. Yeah, I don't know
Thems.
what that song is, but anyway, they all fight over one part.
I don't remember
They all
which
fight over
one
the
it
part
was.
of one of the ladies. Are they sisters? Something about sisters.
Yeah, the Schuyler sisters.
So
yeah, it's I think no, because see, okay, I remember we had this discussion with them because I assumed no one would want to be Peggy.
They all want to Peggy.
But they all wanted to be Peggy. They all want to be Peggy. And I was like, what?
Which, as I've said, means nothing to me. I should say I got a perfect score on my AP U.S. history exam, so I do know the story in its most literal sense as far as exactly, or at least what we were told for AP U.S. history, which is probably, who's to say? Not me, but
be critical, y'all.
So, but I do love In the Heights. I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's on my the two part season closer of House with Lin-Manuel Miranda. That is great. I love that. So that's all I have to offer here. But I'm just, I'm in that little club with 3 people who haven't seen it. I've never related to those people who haven't read Harry Potter, and I feel it. But I don't take pride in it. That's the thing.
Right.
Maybe a little bit because it's on Disney Plus, but other than that.
Yeah. Well, I guess, Allie, since this is your first time on the show, would you like to kick things off for us?
Oh, boy. Sure. Well, it's we're trying to figure out where to start. Well, first and foremost, I actually had the chance to see the original cast back in 2015.
The best picture ever taken.
So, Chloe's referencing when I met Jonathan Groff. He was literally the love of my life. So I got a chance to go see it when it was in previews right before kind of the craziness hit and before the album came out. So it's been such a long time since I've seen the original cast doing their thing. And of course I loved it when I first saw it. But I don't even know where to start with this. Basically, first and foremost, I'm thrilled that Hamilton is getting, that it's been filmed and it's accessible for everyone to watch, because I'm very much
America's
a full supporter
so bad
of
about
accessibility.
It. Mm-hmm. Britain's really good about it, and here sucks, and I don't understand why.
It's it's very unfortunate. Broadway
Hades
is
Town,
extremely
please.
expensive.
Give us the Hades Town video. Andre DeShields.
Yeah. Oh man, I know. I want to see Hades Town so badly.
Alice
but
and I
also,
have both had encounters with Reeve.
This is true. We're big supporters of Reeve Carney. Friends, maybe.
He's gonna play at my wedding.
Had this discussion.
And yours. I made him. I said, if you're gonna play mine, you also have to play at my friend Allie's. And he's like, okay. But he offered, to be fair, to play at my wedding. It was not a request.
Yeah.
So.
No, Reeve is such a sweetheart. He will literally sit at stage door with you and just talk your ear off until you say, I have to go. He will just stand there and keep talking to you. Because that's the kind of person he is. He's so sweet. So.
That's how I feel about Timothy Hughes, also in Hades Town. Because I met him when he was in Frozen, because one of my friends, Claire Camp, was in Frozen, and I got to meet him when I was backstage, and he's the sweetest, most down to earth, totally no crazy ego star.
It's always good to have. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm sorry.
Is that the old guy?
No, it's okay.
But,
welcome to our show.
Is that the old guy?
Is for.
Yeah, from what I understand, I think y'all do that quite a bit.
Sometimes.
Is it the old guy?
Just once in a while.
Is it the old guy? Timothy? Is that Hades?
Hughes?
No,
the tall man?
Timothy Hughes is the really tall guy. The really tall one. Yeah.
So,
there you go.
Timothy the guy who plays Hades looks like a Timothy, but here we are.
No, Patrick.
Yeah.
Oh
his wife's a piano teacher.
I know. It's
I know that because the girl next to me at stage door was like, "Yo, your wife taught me piano." So a little bit of assumption on my part, but I'm going to assume she's a piano teacher.
Yes. Yeah, no, he's amazing. So Patrick Pace and Reeve Carney actually also worked together in Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, which a lot of Broadway seems to be very intent on forgetting, but he was the Green Goblin. So,
nice.
Fun fact.
Yo, Reeve Carney throwback.
Yeah, a little Reeve Carney throwback. But yeah, no, I don't even know like how to start with Hamilton though. It's obviously, I mean, I'm undoubtedly a huge fan of the show. Mm-hmm. I've listened to the album multiple times. I thought that the way it was filmed was like absolutely beautiful. I loved, I would think I was like kind of concerned going into it, you know, when you talk about filming theater, how are they going to get the camera angles, you know, because when you're watching a live theater, you are in charge of where you want to look. Well, you can choose what details to look
your
at.
Your bank account is.
Fair enough.
That's
there you
true. Go. And yeah, there's so many details in Hamilton, so much choreography, so much going on stage at one time. So I thought it was quite impressive how they were able to capture most everything with the cinematography. Like they really had an eye for knowing the right moments and the right angles to capture all the emotions. Mm-hmm. And these actors, speaking of emotions, these actors, they brought the emotion. You knew, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, they had us all crying when we were in theaters, but like seeing them up close, every single one of those actors cried at some point during that show. And it was insane. Like, you know that they all were bringing their A game because they knew they were having like cameras up in their face and they wanted people to feel the emotion from home. Yeah. And I feel like similar to how, you know, they say like when you're doing your makeup, do your makeup for the back of the theater. It's like with emotions, you know, you're doing your emotions for the back of the theater, but like in terms of filming a movie, you want to do your emotions so strongly that people that are seeing it through a screen can feel it. Yeah. And I felt like they did that wonderfully. It was really
Was it in front of an audience or no?
It was.
Ooh.
There was, from what I heard, they did about 3 filmings, and 2 of the filmings were with an audience at, I think, a matinee, and then the other one was with no audience, which me and my friends were going back and forth debating about this as we were watching, because I was like, they had to have filmed one without an audience, because the part where, you know, the big part where Lin-Manuel comes out and he goes, Alexander Hamilton, noise. Like the very first time. Everyone, like,
you could hear what they were saying.
Exactly. Yeah, you could actually hear him say Alexander Hamilton, which if you were in live theater would not have happened.
It would just be screams.
Just screams for like 10 minutes straight. Yeah. So they
and there were also some scenes where like the camera was actually on the stage moving around the actors, which they obviously couldn't have done if they had a live audience there, because you would have seen these cameramen with big giant cameras walking around. But
it was really awesome. Like,
so, I mean, maybe so, but I think the camera work was really immersive.
Yes. Yeah, it did a great job of making sure you saw all the good stuff, all the good
choreography. Did it still feel like a play?
I actually noticed,
even though you were in their face.
Yeah.
Completely.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, they should do a 4D Hamilton experience. So like you get like like I said,
you can feel Jonathan Groff spit.
Yes, exactly.
That was my favorite part of this whole filming. Is like he just kept spitting.
Love it. Oh yeah. Oh, he was in it. Snap. Well, I gotta watch it now.
Yeah, he's only in it for like a combined total of 9 minutes, but he's still,
I know, you've told me,
the best 9 minutes.
Who else has played him?
The best 9 minutes of the show,
because it's been lots of people playing for a little bit of time, right?
Brian Darcy Jing, is that his name? Am I getting his name mixed up?
I think so. It's a Brian three names.
There's been quite a few people. Can't remember off the top of my head, but Jonathan Groff obviously is.
He originated the role, so it's like so good.
Yeah, and I'm assuming, did you see all the news, Chloe, about Jonathan Groff like spitting a ton?
No, but I love it. So, it fits the character. Was it on purpose?
No, I mean, like, I think it was just kind of.
I will say, I'm not trying to be like that. Yeah. Because I hope everybody. I mean, if Jonathan Groff is listening. Hopefully, I don't know why you'd be listening, but especially...
Die-hard listener.
Like, he should know. He is referenced often as being angelic, right? But it is true. In his, like, on looking at stuff, that man sweats. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah. No, so, I mean, a lot of the performers throughout the recording, you could see, sweat, because they have these really strong lights blaring down on them. And then they have like somewhat historically accurate costumes that are multiple layers of fabric.
Is that heavier light on the
choreography is very complicated.
Is it heavier light on the somewhat accurate costumes? I need to know.
Well,
Oh, artistic license?
I mean, it's obviously simplified. There is an artistic license that's being taken. I don't think I'm the right person to talk about this because that's not my area of expertise. That's a particular time period. But I do know that like there were some modernizations that were taken in like the details and the like finishing, but for the most part, a lot of the silhouettes are historically accurate. Maybe the fabrics are a little more modern, but it's definitely like an artful interpretation.
Okay. No, we're not talking little women.
I love it.
Here.
I love the costumes.
We're okay with it. Okay.
Yeah, no, these costumes are beautiful. If Emma Watson had worn a dress like the Schuyler sisters in Beauty and the Beast, I would have been so much more happy.
Yeah.
Ooh, preach.
That's the tea.
The costumes are absolutely stunning, indisputably.
Yeah.
The actors are
They're by Paul Tazewell, who's one of the best costume designers working right now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next to
so
him.
good.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. And, the thing that's crazy about Hamilton is it's also, like, the costumes are gorgeous, but in terms of set design, the set design is so smart, but it's also very simple all at the same time. It's not super flashy.
It's simple, but very effective.
I feel like that's in right now, to be honest with you. Like, I know nothing, but, like, Katie's Town
the sort of minimalized, stripped down. Yeah, it definitely close.
Look at me! Yeah. Wow, I've used up my wealth of knowledge, but I'll keep talking anyway. Does it tell the story well? That's important. Like, if you don't know what's up.
Oh yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I went in not really knowing much other than. I mean, like, I actually did learn a good amount about Alexander Hamilton in high school, and I love U.S. history, so I guess I had that on my side going in, is that I do love, like, just history in general. But I went in knowing very little overall about, like, Alexander Hamilton's life. I didn't know about any of the scandals or his background, where he came from, or his relationships with people in office and during the war. So it was super amazing how seamless the story moves from start to finish. I remember when I first saw it, and this first scene pops up where like you like have suddenly the entrance of the three men that are going to be Hamilton's like best friends, Hercules Mulligan and John Laurens and Lafayette. And when I was seeing it in person, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much to handle. Like, I'm never going to get this because it's all wrapped. And I was like, I'm never going to catch up. Right? Yeah, like all the different houses and stuff. But yeah, no, like it was amazing though, because then suddenly like you found that a few songs in, you just fell into it and you just suddenly were following everything seamlessly. It's almost like in a weird like way, like code switching. Almost your brain just has to kind of readapt to the way the music is happening, and then suddenly you're not even thinking about like having to pay attention. You're just following the story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Like,
Now I
completely.
I will say I had the subtitles on for the whole thing. I don't know if, but that's
I did as well. I mean, I need to have them so I can like keep paying attention. Yeah. But it was definitely helpful for my parents who are in their 50s and don't listen to rap. And I think the code switching thing that you mentioned, Ali, is very like a great way of putting it, because my parents weren't used to this like style of storytelling. And maybe 15 minutes in, it wasn't an issue for them anymore. And they were just rolling with the punches and totally immersed.
That's awesome.
So I think they did a great job with
my
that
dad
aspect.
tried to listen to it. I guess they were playing songs or something on NPR. And he was so upset. He said, I didn't know anything. I couldn't understand anything I was saying. And I was like, it's okay, Papa.
Gary.
We'll get there.
Oh.
He was like, I just don't know. And he prides himself on, which is, he really can understand, like, the thickest, most ridiculous act, because his mom was deaf. Yeah. So, like, he's very good at, like, understanding.
Do you think the subtitles would help?
He is literate.
You know?
Yes.
Because well, he could, like, read it and
I mean, he was also driving and stuff. And it was, like I said, it was on NPR.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah. Well, Henry, what about you? What's your background with Hamilton?
Spill it. Boo-boo.
Well, okay. So I've always wanted to see it live, and I've never been able to because, there are so many roadblocks to seeing live theater that Ali mentioned. There's especially in America, because Completely intended. I was actually talking with one of my friends in England earlier today about the price of tickets in America versus London, because in London it's so much more affordable. And
they do tons and here it can cost as well. Like
they do tons to make it. Yeah. And here it's like, okay, if you live in New York, that's one thing. But if you don't live in New York, first you have to think about the price to get there. You know, travel, which is also, hotel, to be fair, the price of living in New York. Like, the price of living in New York is already exorbitant. It's so that's one roadblock, and it's just, you know, it's difficult to see theater. So I have always been really passionate about making it more accessible and having these, like, you know, filmed productions.
Spooky. Wow.
Like
Can I say foreshadowing? Can I put it out into the universe for us?
Yeah.
Nice.
We're going to do it someday, Chloe. But, like, you know, Broadway especially, these stories are meant to touch and inspire. But when only a fraction of the population is able to experience them, you know, it limits how much it's able to do.
Can I say one more thing?
I've always been very much in love with, like, the PBS Great performances series.
I also think, like, to your point, Wilkie, like, a lot of these shows, like even Sweeney Todd or whatever, they weren't invented by those who were putting them on the stage, like, or originally told by. So it's like even more so, like, it was it was given to somebody in that kind of way, and they should give it more freely for sure. You know?
Yes. Yes. And I mean, at its most basic form, theater is for the people. And so it should be people engaging with that instead of this, like, very small, you know, upper class, rich, you know, very tiny subset
We're all the squishies
of the population.
Well, actually, we've been very lucky, but most people are the squishy inside of the bread. If you're the crust, that's great. But hey, we all need some butter.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well said.
Also, Wilkie, I have a question. Maybe you can confirm this, because someone told me this, and I haven't gotten around to fact checking it myself, but I heard it, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was told that every single show that's been on Broadway has a recording that's held in the Library of Congress.
This is the national treasure we wanted.
Library of Congress. So,
truly,
there's some great.
Like, I'm going to steal the live filming of Once on This Island with. I'm totally going to do it.
It's partially true, but it's not the Library of Congress. It's at the Lincoln Center Library in New York. The New York Public Library. And the specific division is called TOFT, the Theater of Film and Tape.
Interesting.
And so basically it was started in the 1950s, 60s by a woman with very good intentions who wanted to have. I mean, it's the truth. Her heart was in the right place, but she sort of went about this in the wrong way.
I love this.
Because yes, all of these, you know, theatrical productions of the last 50 years have been filmed, but they're basically inaccessible. You can view them once in your lifetime, and you have to be a director or a producer or someone with, like, theatrical credentials to be able to view them. You have to make an appointment. And the reason is why a director went and watched one recording, like, 10 times and copied the staging, copied the choreography, and staged it and tried to claim it as his own. So since then, they've made it, like, really difficult to access these recordings.
It's always the one guy.
You'd think it'd be easier to plagiarize something if no one else has ever heard or seen of it.
You would think. But so yes, you are correct. Every play, I say every play, if it ran for, like, a month, maybe it's not filmed. But if it ran for a year or longer, it's most likely been filmed. And you can go to the New York Public Library's website and actually search the collection. And they have many of them listed online so that you can see, you know, who's in it and the credits and everything like that. You just can't view it. But interestingly, I was going to save this and talk about it later, but I'm really glad that you brought it up. Since COVID-19, the TOFT Library has been in talks with theater professionals, directors, producers, trying to see if they can negotiate a way for people to access these recordings.
Nice.
So, yeah, because, I mean, it's literal decades of theater history that has been preserved.
For what?
But nobody's being able to see it. For what?
Yeah.
You know?
It's literally performance.
So I really hope that this Hamilton tape like reinvigorates public interest and gets people excited about live theater and live theater that has been filmed.
Furthermore, unfortunately, to see that it's lucrative, because of course, like Broadway and everything is associated with like camp and like everything, which is like, oh, we don't want that. Like nobody wants, like that's like an underground thing.
Yeah, it's fringe.
So like hopefully, because the other thing with this, like obviously Hamilton is like crazy successful, but I hope that it's not just like
it's a worldwide
I hope it's
phenomenon.
like a domino effect and not just like the top of the top gets. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Because, I mean, there are a lot of productions out there that have so much merit to them, but they weren't worldwide phenomenons like Hamilton was. So people may not be as pressured to make them accessible. Whereas if all of these recordings were accessible, people could discover these forgotten gems that nobody really talks about, but may have a lot of relevance to today's society. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
No, I mean, thank you so much for that info. It's so important. Like, I when I heard that, it made me simultaneously so happy and so sad because, there's like so many times I've seen shows where the choreography or the performances have been just so beautiful and so unique that in my mind, like when I hear the show's closing, I'm like, that's so sad to think that something like that's just lost forever.
Man.
So
Allie was crushed when she found out. I was with her.
When what?
Found out SpongeBob was done.
When what was closed?
SpongeBob was a really good show. Oh my gosh, I loved that.
But
show
it was
so
filmed.
Much. It was filmed. So, so that one was premiered for Nickelodeon.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, for the youth especially. Gotta get youth interested in Broadway and theater, and that's like I went and saw Frozen on Broadway, and it made me. Like, I feel like some people go to Broadway shows and they feel almost a little, like, annoyed or skeptical when they see a lot of kids there. But when I see kids at a Broadway show, I get super excited because I just think to myself, like, there's so many kids out there that are about to go home.
I mean, that was us. We were those
I was
kids.
Definitely that kid. That was like the highlight of my year.
Exactly.
Yeah, you were.
Simpson, front row, Simpson to all the shows.
Simpson.
Yes.
For me, it was definitely Rent. I saw Rent when I was like 11, which
my
I definitely
sister
should
did
not
as
have been
well.
seeing when I was 11. But it changed my life, and so that makes it important. Make it accessible. So
So love Hamilton. All about theater accessibility. So this was really my introduction to the show. I'd listened to the cast album, but I'd never seen it performed. Because yes, there are bootlegs out there, but I did not want to watch one because I knew that Lin-Manuel Miranda had this beautiful thing in store for us, and I wanted to like see it the way that he wanted to inform that experience. And I feel like this was such a great way of doing it and bringing it to audiences, all around the country and all around the world. Because the way that it was filmed, it was very immersive. I feel like it gave us all the best seat in the house and sort of, put us there on stage at some point.
We all got some spit.
We all got some spit. We got some sweat. We got the tears. Yeah. But also, I think the camera movements were really excellent at showcasing the choreography and the staging, because it's such a well-staged show. That people are always moving, there's always action, and the flow is very continuous. And so I think the camera movements really reflected that nicely, as opposed to just like a static camera or something like that.
Right. And
at points they did treat it like a film and, gave us those really close-ups that I think was a good idea because, it makes it feel more like a theatrical experience where you would see those emotive close-ups. Whereas if you're seeing it in a theater live, you're sort of removed from the performers to some extent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think it married film and theater in a way that some live theatrical tapings don't do so well. Because Chloe mentioned earlier when we were talking about theater accessibility, how the UK is so much better than the US.
Good.
Because a lot of their theatrical productions, plays, musicals, opera, ballet are all live streamed and you can see them in cinemas. And the Met Opera has started doing that as well in like the past decade or so, but there's still long strides to be made.
And they just show them on TV too. Like they're just so much better.
Yeah.
Dang, we all know
like
how
PBS. Come on.
Yeah. Wow.
Come on.
Can I ask you a question? Of course. Yeah, thank you, Chloe. You're welcome. Okay. Well, how did it...
Yes, Chloe, of course.
How did it compare? Oh, gosh. Like, did it look... Because it's been around for a long time. So, like, did it... And I know it was a long time ago for you, Allison. But, like, how did it compare, do you think, from the original? And then you saw more recently a different version. But, like, how did it compare as far... Like, did they up anything because it was being made into a movie? Does that make sense? Did they shine the shoes? You know what I mean?
Well, I wouldn't say that it was like, you know, shined its shoes because it's being made into a movie. It was a filmed version of the stage show. Mm-hmm. And it was done, I think, at its height in 2016, which was like, you know, maybe a year around that time frame since it had opened, you know, maybe less than a year. So it wasn't really an old thing when it was filmed.
Gotcha. It wasn't like a reprisal.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this was filmed like 4 or 5 years ago.
That's crazy.
Before the original cast left. Yeah.
It was actually kind of crazy to watch it because when you were talking about the actors, Anthony Ramos, he's honestly probably just like a few years older than us. He's a pretty young guy. And so when he was on, when he was in the show back in like 2015, 2016.
Still had braces?
He looked like, not like braces.
So young.
But he looked so young. He really did look like a baby. And I follow Anthony Ramos still, and he's definitely matured a lot in the past few years. And we've seen him in trailers for In the Heights, and he's just, you know, he looks like he's grown older. So it was almost kind of a weird time warp to get thrown into.
To see him back in time.
Yeah, back in time. Because I remember when I saw this show, I had such a huge crush on almost everyone in that show. But I think Anthony Ramos, me and my friends were like, John Lawrence? John Lawrence?
Hello?
Who's John Lawrence?
And like this was before Philippa Sue did Amelie the musical, and I'm like, whoa, it's such a time in the past.
It is.
But to see what all of these performers have gone on to do since then, you know, Hamilton was really a
catalyst.
Catalyst for a lot of these people's careers. That is so wonderful.
Does it feel like that though? Like beyond the context, like for you personally, like obviously you were like, oh, I got midterms, so that's okay. But like not that, but like watching it, does it feel dated at all?
I don't think so. Not really.
That's good.
Because, I mean, you know, the structure of the show, people refer to it as a musical, but it's really more of an operetta. You know, it's constant singing the entire time. There are not a lot of book scenes whatsoever where they're just talking. You know, it goes from rap into spoken word, into singing, back into rap. And it's very, I think, of the now. It's very contemporary in its styling.
Yeah.
And even now, we don't have a lot of shows like that are being told in modern sounding forms, you know?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
It's like the good version of that substitute English teacher who like wants you to rap Shakespeare. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Do you think people are going to do like Rocky Horror Picture Show style with this now? Do you think people are going to go dressed up and like...
Maybe in like 20 years.
Word.
I don't know. It depends on like how the cult following develops.
How it ages too.
Yeah. Because like I could see Hamilton being, you know, the next Wicked that runs for like 20 years. So absolutely. I don't know.
What do you think, Faraday?
You still here, buddy? I don't have a lot of background with Hamilton. I had heard about the craze of it, and I kind of followed that, but I didn't really know a whole lot about it otherwise.
Team
and
Burr
I like
for life.
What's up?
Huh?
What's up?
Team Burr for life. Aaron Burr.
Oh, yes.
Instead of Hamilton. It's okay. I got the joke, Chloe.
I like Lin-Manuel Miranda a lot. I tend to watch pretty much whatever he does, especially if he's the one doing the music. This we talked about it on Fleabag Live a little bit. I have a bit of an issue. Not that movie it's very different because it's just a static shot, but I have a issue with or a struggle to really get into a filming of a Broadway show. I just something about it. I just feel detached, and of course. I mean, it's
you
obvious.
want to be in the room where it happens.
Yeah, like if I was going to watch it, I would so much rather prefer be in the theater. And so even though I think this is probably the best filming of a show that I've seen, so that, I mean, it's very well directed and well shot. So that really was impressive. I don't know exactly what to say about it because there is so much to it. I thought everybody was great in it, and it is long. It's about 2 hours and 40 minutes. Watching it at home on a TV, I did find it a bit exhausting at a certain point, which again, I think if I had...
Allie got offended. I know her so well. I saw her face.
I did not get offended. I did not.
It's more so the medium that it's being presented in, because like if I had been watching it in the theater, I don't think that would have really come up.
You would have been there.
I would have been there. I would have been watching.
I mean, when we saw Les Mis, it's about the same length, but being in that
exactly, that's
setting,
a good comparison. Yeah.
You sort of feed off of the energy and it keeps you engaged.
And I feel like you're also more ready for it in like a weird way. Like you go somewhere and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair. And so
I also think like with streaming, we've sort of got used to like, this is an at-home experience. And so you're not really in that like theater mindset.
Right.
Like, it's on your time almost kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that is not fleeting. I think that's another thing. Like, again, I'm not as, cultured as the Broadway goes, but I saw Hadestown recently because I really wanted to, and I was like, don't close your eyes, Chloe. I feel like I was in Clockwork Orange.
You have to take it all in.
I cannot close my
Well, maybe let's stop for a second and do a quick sponsor break.
For the best way to stay cool, calm, and protected this summer, please review our products at sweatmagic.com. I'm Mark Dunn, and we provide quality face masks for your protection and satisfaction. Please note that all proceeds of these sales will go to help the COVID-19 cause. Thank you, and stay safe.
Henry, do you think, feeling that way, do you think it was just specifically like the length format? Do you think maybe the story had something to do with it? Because I guess it depends on like how you define exhaustion, but I know that like for me and my friends, we finished it, and like Hamilton's an emotional roller coaster, y'all. Like we finished, and I just felt like I'm like very much borderline extrovert introvert. Yeah, and I finished that, and I'm also a big empath, and I felt like I was so drained. I just had to like go sit in my room for a bit. I loved it,
same,
but it takes you everywhere.
Yeah, and now I'm all for that. Having just watched it once and not having a whole lot of knowledge about the original, I don't think there was any storytelling issues that I had really. It was just sitting there for 2.5 hours with it. And I agree, it's got so many emotions in it. It's just that there was maybe about halfway through, I was like, all right, let's
intermission.
I don't know. Intermission, yeah. And that would really only be my one criticism of it. Otherwise, it's very entertaining and it's so bright and full of life. It's amazing to see. Of course, I knew it going in, but just the talent involved in getting this together is incredible, and it really shows why they're so big. It's incredibly choreographed and well written. So all of that I thought was excellent, and I really enjoyed seeing that. It's just that I don't love the medium that it's being presented through. But we've duked this
out already, so
go
back and listen to that episode.
Yeah.
No, to be fair, like that is what separates, movie from theater as a media. Is theater is very much about presence, and and a lot of times that's something that actors take to heart in such a way that makes them so personally offended about the idea of like bootlegs and such, is because the idea of theater is it's supposed to be live in front of you. Everyone in the room is present for that one performance. And then
Patti LuPone, is that a camera?
Yeah.
Turn that crap off.
But like theater is made to be like for a room of people that are all there and all living and breathing it together. So I think it's totally fair to say that watching it through a television, of course, it probably can't have the same exact level of energy as it would otherwise. Because that's simply not how the media is meant to be.
And what Henry brought up, after seeing Les Mis a while back, I was like, I'm drained, but that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I would just love to go watch it again even. And whereas in this, mostly because of the medium, I was just kind of lagging a little bit. It's phasing out kind of.
Mm-hmm. Do you all think Hamilton could have been successful as like a live action film in terms of not like filmed on stage? Like, because when they first were announcing Hamilton movie, there was a lot of confusion in the press, right? Like a lot of people were thinking like they heard Hamilton movie, they were imagining.
Well, they made it sound like it was going to be a movie.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And when I found out it was going to be a stage version, I was very happy because I love the stage version as is. I love the simplicity of the stage structure. But I'm just curious for y'all's thoughts if you think it could have been successful as kind of like a Les Mis-esque.
I think it could be successful, but I would still want this movie to be there. I wouldn't want it to be just the original show and then a dramatization. I'm glad this version is there, even if I totally didn't love it. I'm still glad that this version is out there.
I'm like the least expert here, but like the first thing I think of is like I feel like the storytelling would not have worked nearly as well if they had to like actually build the surroundings and the sets and everything, because it's like then it might just feel like a little forced and a little like fake with the rapping and stuff like that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I totally agree, because I think with the like simplistic set, you're already suspending your disbelief that like this is like happening. Yeah, exactly. Like it's all happening in different places, and you're able to sort of use your imagination. I know that's hard for some people, but like
it is tough.
Yeah, I mean, like musical theater in general, you're suspending your disbelief that these people are going to be singing and that they're all going to know the words and the music, and so. When you put it in a really realistic setting, I think it becomes harder to suspend that disbelief and understand that there's this intersection where you can have realism and you can also have this like, really artistic interpretation of events. So, what was the question? I feel like I'm so glad that this exists. This taping exists. When they announced that there was going to be a movie like Allie, I was very confused. Like, is this going to be sets and like, out in nature and like, this veneer of like realism, but then they're going to be rapping? Personally, I don't know if it would work as well because, again, it's an operetta. There are no book scenes where they would just be walking around and talking. And in a lot of recent movie musicals, they push to make it extra real, like the Les Mis movie. And so it's more like a drama with singing, whereas Hamilton is meant to be operetta, fully performed rapping, nonstop music. So I don't know if it would have been wholly successful, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Look at you asking the real questions. Dang. Yeah. My cat's here, if anyone's...
She's so cute.
Yeah.
All right, well, do we want to... Is there something else a path we want to go down, or how's everybody feeling? Because I know there's a lot to talk about, so I don't want to cut anybody off.
Yeah.
What about like what were some standout moments for everyone? Because like I know for me, seeing this show,
there were 9 minutes in particular.
I will. That is one thing I will say. The first Jonathan Groff song where it's just him on stage. I thought that was amazing. I love that.
So good.
Yeah.
Iconic. I know when I first saw it and then seeing it again, the turning point for me in the show is always when Angelica sings "Satisfied," because that just like threw me for such a whirlwind the first time I saw it emotionally. Like I think nobody's expecting after "Helpless" ends that you're going to be singing a rewind and then like being told the story in a different way. And I think something like clicked for me after that scene where I was like, oh, this is brilliant. Like this is something very different.
This is why it's this cultural thing. Yeah.
And hopefully people actually being able to see it to a relative degree. Obviously not everyone will be able to see it given the circumstances, but it'll reach a lot more people. Hopefully it'll inspire more inspired stuff from people, that shows you a new level of possibility for the medium.
For sure.
Yeah, not just cats.
Allie, my favorite standout moment was probably Burn, which is unsurprising because that's my favorite song already. But it was so powerful. And then I think it's Quiet Uptown. Is that right after or just a little bit later?
It's after.
It's after because I couldn't remember when later on in the show it happens, but those two sequences I think were so powerful to me, and the visual of Hamilton and Philippa Sue holding hands at the end, tears, so good. Oh
no, when she
beautiful.
Finally responds to him in that moment of when she's been so quiet and she finally breaks out into a whisper and grabs his hand and says it's Quiet Uptown. Oh my gosh, I literally just burst into tears. I know, I feel
from that point on I was just sobbing.
Ooh, same.
How I feel right now is how I always felt in math class.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair enough.
But my friends were joking when we were watching it when cabinet battle happened. They were like, okay, we can turn it off now. We don't need to go any further because everything just starts going to hell after cabinet battle. Mm-hmm. And so because the show really just starts becoming one sad thing after another.
That's
emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, but really though, it's musical theater. Act 2 has to be sad. Let's be real.
It's the woods. It's the Into the Woods effect.
It's yeah. And Lin-Manuel Miranda loves Sondheim, so it makes perfect sense.
I definitely got that watching it.
Yeah. So I think early on, was it Chloe who asked the question if Hamilton referenced Sweeney Todd?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I don't know if that was completely intentional, but I think the way that you have these ensemble players performing and then Hamilton walks out, it sort of mimics the beginning of the Broadway production of Sweeney Todd, where the ensemble is singing, and then at the end of the number, Sweeney Todd walks out and performs with them, which was cut from the movie, and I hate it. But it's something that's really strong about the Broadway production. So that's the tea.
I'll hold my tongue until we get to that part.
Okay.
Well, now in terms of, because y'all haven't had as much time on the show, there haven't been a lot of new movies this year, but is this your favorite of the year so far? Is there anything else that tops it, or is it just out of curiosity?
Yeah. I think this is definitely a moment.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what's come out this year, honestly, because
not much.
2020 is just almost non-existent. Emma, I did love Emma.
Yeah,
it's
Emma
hard
was
to compare.
good.
It's hard to compare because
I'm
not gonna lie, I'm definitely one of those people that's kind of exhausted the Hamilton album at this point. I was so excited to see it because I love the performance aspect, but
you've been there.
It's something I knew the back of my head at this point.
Yeah,
I've been listening to the album nonstop since the end of 2015. So,
and you did have the visuals somewhere in your head, you have seen.
You had already seen it, so it was there.
But don't get me wrong, I'm totally going to want to see it again. But I think there are a lot of people that I'm so thrilled for them that they're so excited they're going to be watching it again and again because they finally have their hands on it. But I think for me, like you said, I guess I've just been reflecting on it for so long already that I saw it once and I'm I probably will wait a little while to watch it again. But I definitely loved it. But yeah, I guess for 2020 it is, a gem amidst not having really anything else. But if it were a normal year, I don't know if I would have necessarily been Hamilton's the best movie I've seen all year, but
I also hesitate to say that it's even a movie. Because it's not this theatrical, cinema release. It's a filmed Broadway play from 2016.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, no.
I don't know how I would qualify that. Yeah.
How about you, Henry?
I kind of with Henry, I enjoyed it and I would like to rewatch it. Where I think in that case, knowing what it is, I don't know if the exhaustion, quote unquote, would be as present, but it just feels like it's its own thing, its own little corner or nook
in my own little corner.
Yeah.
Aww.
Sure.
That one I know.
Allie got me. Actually, I was talking with. Yeah, I was talking with my mom about Hamilton and her thoughts before we did this video chat on Zoom, and she said that it reminded her of Brandy's Cinderella
have to watch
because of the. You have to, because of the sort of colorblind casting aspect of it, and it's taking these roles that are, you know, historically white slave-owning men and giving them to people of color to reflect our modern America and, you know, maybe show what could have or should have been from the start.
And to make
Absolutely.
a little bit of reparations in kind of a way. Like, oh yeah, now we'll make money off of you.
I have like one small tidbit to that.
Oh, yeah, please.
Yeah.
So something that like is so fascinating to me about Hamilton, and I know it's so intentional for Lin-Manuel because he's brilliant and he knows like Broadway like the back of his hand. I talked to so many people that see so many different variations of influences in the show. Like we were just talking about Sweeney Todd, and then you were saying like it reminded you of the Brandy Cinderella. But like I've talked
Chloe
to
said Into the Woods.
Into the Woods.
Yeah.
For me, I saw a ton of parallels with Jesus Christ Superstar. I saw that show when I was younger.
You love that show.
Yeah.
I love that. Was like my favorite show when I was younger. And I instantly, when I saw the show, was like, oh my gosh, the amount of parallels. Like the fact that Aaron Burr is narrating the whole show, and in Jesus Christ Superstar, Judas is narrating the whole show. And Jesus Christ Superstar is also an operetta, so there's no talking. It's just like start to finish singing. Like literally, if you start diving into it, there's all these comparisons. But what's crazy about it is like this. Yeah, Wilkie, did you not realize that?
Goodness. I never put the two together, and now it's all I can see.
It's amazing. It's really
Those sound like
so
lyrics to a Broadway song.
I'm not kidding. Like this is the dorkiest thing
I speak
ever.
the
When I
language.
was first trying to figure out what I was going to do for my senior thesis project, Hamilton was like very in. I was like really close to doing an analysis essay of like the similarities between Jesus Christ Superstar and Hamilton. And then
as a kid's book, as a
I would still love for you to make that like as an essay or something.
Yeah, it's very fascinating.
The world needs that.
Honestly.
Thank you. So,
yeah.
I'll have to get your insight though. You've got that.
Henry, you got your Broadway buds right here.
Yeah.
I like
honestly.
MC, but I think there's a lot of
No, that'd be great. That'd be great.
The only things I can think of are gross, like pulp. Like that's not it.
Yeah. We'll get there. Okay. All right. Well, out of 5 stars,
10
for Hamilton.
Yeah, definitely 5. I mean,
10 out of 5.
Yeah, 10 out of 5.
9 for each minute of Jonathan Groff.
Right. All right. Well, I'll go 4.5.
4.5. Okay, solid.
Cool.
Oh,
okay. Well,
mad.
let's move on. Get to our retro.
Get ready.
review,
This part of the show is gonna be we got them in each corner over here. We got our fighters. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get into Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
Barber of Fleet Street.
Here's a clip
from 2007.
Take it.
And we also have a clip, I think, Chloe, do we?
Take it a listen.
We got a clip.
These are my friends. See how they glisten. See this one shine. How he smiles in the light. My friend, my faithful friend.
All right. Well, as we said, Sweeney Todd came out in 2007. It's directed by Tim Burton. It stars Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter, Alan Rickman, Timothy Spall, Sacha Baron Cohen, Jamie Campbell Bower.
Sorry, I just looked at Alex. He was in that movie.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, that movie. We're not going to name it.
Okay.
It was Mortal Instruments.
And I guess that's about it.
Laura Michelle Kelly.
Yes, thank you.
She was in it.
Represent.
The most important actress. I met her when she was in King and I.
Yeah.
She's beautiful and perfect and wonderful.
And Finding Neverland.
And Finding Neverland.
Oh,
and she was the original Mary Poppins in London.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. She's literal, like
perfect.
a goddess descended from the heavens.
Wow.
The synopsis is the infamous story of Benjamin Barker, a.k.a. Sweeney Todd, who sets up a barbershop in London which is the basis for a sinister partnership with his fellow tenant, Mrs. Lovett. Not the best
good.
one.
No.
First of all, excuse me, can we talk about female empowerment when it's relevant? Because he was her tenant, okay? He rented out his little skylit room from her, so.
But while we're talking about female empowerment, I need to say this. So Joanna, his daughter, in the Broadway play, she is sent to this insane asylum, and she is the one to kill the doctor and free herself.
I was almost, this is true.
In the movie, Anthony drags her out, and he's like, oh, insane asylum patients, you take back the doctor, and that it strips away of Joanna's agency.
Yeah, it turned into like Bastille Day over here. That ain't it.
Yeah, it's never sat well with me, because in the Broadway play, she takes a gun and shoots the doctor, and it's this form of like, she's not going to let people abuse her.
I wonder why they didn't just include that in the movie.
I know. There are a lot of moments like that, Allie.
To be fair, I know we're not in it yet, but let me I think it might be because they obviously cut it down a ton. So I think it might have been they had to get everybody in the same spot, and they had to have a role and everything. So I think it was all about them having to figure out a way to get them all there. I don't think it should have had to be that, but I think that was the why.
It's probably the how as well, like how it happened.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this was a big hit when it came out. Was received well critically, and I think made a fair bit of money. So
all the Hot Topic patrons went.
Yeah. We've talked about Tim Burton a fair bit on the show already. Like we talked about Miss Peregrine's Home actually just recently.
Yeah.
Well,
I watched it on the plane, Wilkie, and I cried, okay? The books are way better.
The only black person is the villain, Chloe. Oh. And they don't even talk about the Holocaust. They say, bad people didn't like people because they were different. That's not what the Holocaust was. They killed Jews because they were Jewish.
That's true. Oh,
I have so many problems with that movie.
I know, that's fair. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where it's like a childhood book series that I loved so much, and then I watched it on the plane coming back from like my first lone venture
overseas.
Oh my god, where I saw my dear Allison. So more important than Daniel Radcliffe is Allison.
But like even the Miss Peregrine book series, they talk about the Holocaust
a lot. A
lot. It's the setting, and the movie glosses over it.
It's true. Can you imagine Timothée auditioned for that role? Dang.
Would have been
sorry, Asa, you're great, but whoa.
It would have been the movie would have been so much better.
Cool.
It's true. I agree.
Because he would have said, "We're going to make this grounded in the Holocaust."
Little Timmy T. Yeah. He said, if this movie doesn't include the Holocaust, my rap career will never take off. It's true.
There we go.
Well, now the four of us have talked about Sweeney Todd a little bit. We have some differing opinions here, for sure. So, once again, with our guests, who would like to kick things off, or Chloe? Because you didn't get to chat much about Hamilton. Would you like to start?
Okay.
Yeah, Chloe, go for it.
I don't have much to say, partially because I'm afraid. I'm scared. So, let me see. Okay, so I have seen every version. I think. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. There's been a crazy. I mean, I've seen like the big
like
three.
The publicly
I've seen
available
Angela. I've seen Patty.
films.
I've seen Helena. So like that's the crew that I'm working with here.
The trifecta.
Exactly. And it's kind of, oh God. Yeah. I'm going to get, Wilkie's going to maim me so hard. Like everything I'm thinking, I can hear the,
It's okay.
You know, when you're little and you're like arguing with an adult and you're like, oh, if I say that, that's going to, I feel like Sherlock Holmes when he slows down time and does the fight in his head and then,
Yeah.
Speak your heart, Chloe.
Here, Chloe, here's what I'll say. I will be quiet while you say your opinions.
I know, but I'll hear what you're going to say in my head.
No.
Which is a tribute to you. So.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah. So, okay, let me say. So, I Okay, where to begin? Okay, so yeah, I've seen those three. I've seen like the three that are, relatively accessible, right? So there's a clear difference. What I'm gonna say that is going to be the thing that's like, okay,
hot take
is like, for me, it's very much, especially as like a movie person, as far as like we talk about it a lot, like the acting style and stuff. Like I can always kind of tell, if you will, like the theater people in movies usually because of their acting style and stuff. Like the most recent one we talked about might have been The Five Bloods. I don't know, but like, it's just like apparent to me and distracting to me. It's like just not my style of acting that I prefer. Even in person, really. Like but so that's a thing for me. So it might be because of that. It's not more necessary, but like easier for me to separate like them as entities, kind of like how we were talking about how Henry was thinking of how we were talking about like Hamilton. Is it like a movie or is it like a recording of that kind of thing? So I think that's very present for me as I'm assessing them. Additionally, I don't love musicals, but also like further additionally, I think it's I forgot the further additionally, but it was the best point. So sad Chloe.
No.
Sad Chloe.
If it comes back to you, shout it out.
No, I'm so sad. But anyway, yeah. So I can just like view them relatively easily as separate things. Oh, that was my nice. We got it back. I'd already mentioned it, but anyway. But like also for me, the fact that it came from like Penny Dreadful's like Sweeney Todd, the character has been around forever. It makes it easier for me to view them as interpretations as opposed to
and like separate adaptations.
Exactly, as opposed to like a poor imitation, if that makes sense. Same with like, God, another hot take, like Dark Shadows from Tim Burton's Dark Shadows.
Great film.
As opposed to because there was the Penny Dreadful Dark Shadows, which like I have like, this is a little bit of a whatever, but like it's one of my prized possessions, I guess. Like my sister got me like an original Penny Dreadful of Dark Shadows for like my birthday a while ago, and I like love it. Like that kind of thing is like my jam. But also like the TV show, I loved it when I was little, but like it was so crazy. But like so it was like that kind of thing as well. So in all those ways, it's easier for me to separate them. And on the how do I say? Okay, so as I think it's pretty known that I'm like I like don't like people being sad or mean and stuff like that, right? It's like a thing for me, and I'm like this is not fun for me. I'm not right. So because of that, the tone of the movie functions a lot better for me than the tone of the plays. Like the plays are very comedic and to be fair, like satirical in a lot of ways and everything, but also it shifts, and they're really long, but like, and also like they shift a lot in tone and stuff, which just like, and again, it's just like a personal thing, I guess, because I'm like extra. We all know that I'm like, how dare you step on that ant?
Well, you're an empath.
Maybe. Thank you so much. But yeah, it's like really hard for me to, honestly, it's hard for me to take any of these versions in. Like even when I watched it for the first time when I was I like couldn't get through it a couple of times. Like I was like, Papa, I can't do this, like a few times. And so, again, because of that, maybe it's like the leading into it, like the fact that it's all, like these people are clear in the movie is like, oh, okay, so everyone's clearly depressed and it's leading them to
destruction.
Yeah, thank you. Self-destructive behavior. Like, okay, I can get with that a little more, I guess. You know what I mean? Especially for me. This could be the hottest one. Especially for me with, oh God, I can't even verbalize this. Helena Bonham Carter's portrayal is my favorite. Personally. Whoa, look at Henry. I know. But again,
I love some Helena. It's
honestly,
okay.
And I think part of it is because of the narrative itself. Like it's a much more like there are way fewer characters. Like it's just way more stripped down, I guess, and like that goes with like the acting and stuff too. And obviously the music is very different and moved around and taken out and everything. It has a
feeling of like hopelessness almost.
Yeah.
You know, it's like so wistful and melodramatic.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so I guess, and a lot more at least from where I sit, again, it might just be the kind of acting I like, but it's a lot more like personal, like one-on-one kind of thing, like all the close-ups and everything. Exactly. Like again, like all the close-ups and everything. So it's a lot more like you're kind of witnessing this journey, like these people, you're kind of seeing them going through these things, as opposed to it being like a performance that you're almost like Baroque kind of thing, like, which I get, but it's just like not super my jam, I guess. So like obviously they're very different, but for my own thing, and like I think part of it is like Tim Burton like famously said like he doesn't like musicals, which is but so he worked with Steven Soderbergh. He worked with Steven Soderbergh on it, and they kind of reworked stuff and everything like that. Like Sondheim. I said Soderbergh. Oh my god!
I was like trying to figure out.
Steven Soderbergh would be the one doing the pirated version in the audience. To be honest,
that's true. He'd do the iPhone version.
But yeah, sorry, but yeah. So in that way, it kind of just it worked for me as much as it could work for me. Like it's just too much for me to deal with. Like give me a Sleepy Hollow any day of the week, but But yeah, I think it's really well put together. Also, I'm always here for Sacha Baron Cohen, so thank you and good night and goodbye. I love him so much.
Yes.
I love him. But also, like, I really like, now I'm not the, but I love the aesthetic, as I always do with Tim Burton. Basically, like, that to me is his strongest suit, no pun intended. But I like the, like, colors and stuff, like the placement of them. But I know that's also kind of taken from the shows. So, anyway.
Wow.
That's me.
Great job, Chloe.
I feel like Allie should go next because she's our
We're like upping the ante. Okay, I like it.
Yeah. And then I'm going to break it all down.
Oh, yeah. No, that.
Henry will be the other buffer, to be fair.
I'll just bore everybody so you can have the high moments.
No. Henry, this is like one of the first movies that like I was like, Henry likes Sweeney Todd. We're going to get along.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
Like,
I'll be the cool down.
All right, let's do it.
There we go. I like that. You'll be like the grounded,
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Bring it all home.
I'm the warm up. You guys are the reps. Henry's the cool down.
There we go. We got it.
I love it.
No, so
perfect.
The reason why I was like even joking, I was like, oh my gosh, if this were a debate, I know Wilkie would totally destroy me, is because like honestly, my reasons for loving Sweeney Todd, it's just like so incredibly emotionally based. Like I just love the way the movie was made.
That's fair.
I love the way it made me feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I really loved it when I was in high school, and I always joke around that was like my moody stage.
It was. But not really. That's the funny thing. She always was perfectly bubbly and everything, but it was like, like for Allie, it was her moody phase. Like, does that make sense? Like
I was watching Sweeney Todd, listening to Spring Awakening nonstop. Like it was, Wilkie's got those eyes.
Moody.
That's exactly the kind of angsty moodiness I was experiencing.
She processed it in a healthy way, though. It didn't. It didn't slip out of any other seams. The power of art.
I was very, very much a good child. I did not break rules. I would have to agree with Chloe about the movie in terms of like the tone was, I think, my biggest issue with the stage performance when I was trying to watch it. And like, I don't mean any disrespect at all, because of course that's how Sondheim designed it to be, and I'm sure there's a ton of meaning behind that. And intention behind that, and I know it's admired by so many people for that creative craft. But for me personally, I felt like the tone of the stage show was a little too confusing, and it didn't really connect with me as well as the movie's tone did. Like I kind of agree with Chloe. Like I feel like if you're gonna go about a story about like a serial killer maniac who like has like a bone to pick and like some serious revenge he's trying to take out, I'm like, let's go all in. Let's be like all moody. Let's like
Let's do
it. Let's go
Or
there.
all the opposite, to be fair.
What'd you say?
Or like the exact opposite, like all satire all day, all the time. Or like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, but you'll agree with me because, you know, we're on the same side. So
no, absolutely. Yeah, no.
Because it's like a ridiculous thing, like baking people into pies.
Is like
a thing. And also like being like there are definitely better ways to. But anyway.
Oh, I see what you mean now. I don't
to murder people.
Like, it's not a good business model.
Like, I see what you mean. Like, you're saying that, in your opinion, if it was going to be satirical, like, go full out, like, make it even more, like, almost ridiculous than it was. Like, because for me, like, it was so almost real. It was so wrong, in my opinion. Like, the whole backstory.
It was visceral. That's the thing,
Yeah, like, the whole backstory with Benjamin Barker and his wife. And
girl, I don't even know it. I don't understand. I don't know if I missed it or if we need a prequel. Like, why did he go to jail?
No, it's in the movie.
Do you need me to explain, Chloe?
No, it's okay.
It's really bad.
I do.
Okay, so Benjamin Barker was married to this beautiful woman, Lucy, a.k.a. Laura Michelle Kelly, the best actress in the world. And Alan Rickman is like, oh, she's really attractive. I'm a judge. I'm going to make it seem like this guy did something illegal, even though he didn't, and ship him off to Australia as a convict. And I'm going to try to get with his wife.
Okay.
And then he sexually abuses her, and she tries to kill herself with poison.
Yeah.
But oops, she doesn't die. And she becomes a beggar in the street.
What? Nobody knows. Are you going to bleep that?
This movie's been out for more than 10 years.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not a spoiler.
For the retro review, we can spoil it.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay, see, that's
also, the Broadway musical's been out since the 70s,
That's
girl.
what I thought.
She's just
It just wasn't really
it's
there.
Good to be careful. Good to be careful.
It goes over in like a minute. It's very quick.
Yeah, it's like a long little montage at the beginning. And also, like, I'm all about, like, melodramatic aesthetic of movies. Like, I know this is kind of going off on a tangent, but being a musical person, this is really shocking and almost borderline embarrassing. I just saw West Side Story for the first time, like, a few months ago.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Really?
So good. I loved it so much. And I think, like...
Are you excited for the new one?
I am. Yeah. I mean, like, obviously, not everything going on with Ansel Elgort.
I was going to say, they got to do... What's that movie?
I think it's so important to remember
with Mark Wahlberg and Christopher Plummer?
Sorry?
The one you've watched, like, 12 times.
All the money in the world?
They're going to have all the money in the world.
That's what I was gonna ask. Is like, do you think Spielberg is gonna?
I don't know.
Recast it.
I don't know what's going to happen there, but I know that, like, there's a lot of great people in that cast that I do want to support. Like, I've been really excited about Rachel Zegler breaking out into the scene and making her debut as Maria. And then we were talking about
she's fabulous.
What's her name? Sorry, Ambrose, who plays the bullet. Wilkie.
Oh, shoot. What was her name?
Ambrose.
DeBose.
Oh, DeBose.
Ariana DeBose.
Okay, yeah. No,
Ariana DeBose.
I'm really
She's
excited.
playing Anita.
Exactly. Like, we have many wonderful, people that are going to be in this movie, and it's
people of color.
I was going to say people of color, very diverse cast.
Instead of white people.
Yeah, and so, like, I still want to support it because, like, there's so many great names that are going to come out of this, and I feel like it would be unfortunate to, toss them all in the dust because of, allegations toward another person. But I still plan on seeing it. Like, I'm really excited for Steven Spielberg's interpretation of it. But getting back on track, like, one of the reasons why I loved it so much was the aesthetic of it. Like, I'm all about a good melodramatic aesthetic, and the colors, everything from, like, the color choices, like the really dramatic lighting and the like harsh reds with the blues and the lighting and like the way the scenes were set up. Like, I love that like attention to detail, and like it defies reality, but that's like why I love really melodramatic movies, because it's not reality. Like, you're enjoying the style of it. And so for me, like, I feel like Sweeney Todd is very much that way, where it's like it really kind of just immerses itself in this like very moody atmosphere, like very dark, very gray, very like, everything, even from like his hair with like those single stripe of white, like, don't even know where the frick that came from, but we love it.
Frankenstein.
What?
Frankenstein.
Yeah,
is my guess.
Frankenstein.
That's my guess.
Like, I still just loved it. I just loved the aesthetic. I felt it.
Or what's his face? Richard Madden. Didn't he have that streak?
He still has it. He got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He'd be a good Sweeney Todd.
I could see that.
Because he's so lovable.
Yeah.
You know?
Remake.
No, well, okay. I can get on board for a remake, but
I love recasting movies.
I'll always love this one though. So, but yeah, no, it's just, I just felt like the story it was telling fit the dark atmosphere. Like, I just felt like so many twists and turns of the story were just so dark to begin with, and I personally related with it more when it just like kind of embraced that dark tone. And also, like, I personally loved the casting. I understand that Helena and Johnny are not like trained theater singers, but I've always been the kind of person where
don't come at, he's got a band, so
no I understand, but that's the thing, I don't even think they're bad singers. I just know that they're not traditional theater singers. Like, that's just an objective fact. They're not trained,
which
they're not classically trained.
I don't think they pretend to, I don't think this is a Russell Crowe situation, and I don't think they pretend to be either. I think it's that, because it is more like movie.
Yes.
And they're definitely movie actors in musical roles.
And also the other thing I liked, again, it's just like personal taste, whatever, all the like songs and stuff, it was clearly like them like thinking and stuff like that. So I feel like it's also more acceptable that they're not like perfect, because it's, do you know what I mean?
It's very raw. Like, it came across as very raw.
It doesn't sound perfect, so it's easier to imagine it coming from a real person.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chloe. That like phrases it perfectly. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I mean. I feel like their performances fit the mood of the movie, and like really like kind of tore at my heart. Like, it wasn't like the prettiest thing to listen to. Kind of similar to like how a lot of people were commenting on Anne Hathaway as Fantine and Les Mis. A lot of people were commenting on how it was like not the most beautiful.
She is classically trained.
But I'm saying in terms of her interpretation, a lot of people were criticizing her, saying it was not like the most beautiful rendition of I Dreamed a Dream, but like that wasn't ever the point.
But it's really emotional and performative.
So I'll step off my soapbox now, but that is.
Oh, I love it. No, please continue.
No. I mean, like,
if you have anything else to say.
I don't know. I love the actors. I love the story. Made me like cry the first time I saw it. Like, good gracious, that
made me pee myself the first time I saw it. Oh my god!
Oh my gosh!
I will say, Allie, I cry every time I watch it, even the movie.
Yeah.
At the end, when Sweeney cuts Lucy's throat, when she's like, "Don't I know you, mister?" and he cuts her there every time, no matter what version.
Absolutely wild.
Even the movie, I cry.
And then you realize, like, that's the first time their whole family was together.
Was in the same room.
Like, literally his daughter. Oh my god, you guys can't get me going like this.
That's why you can learn a lot of lessons from this story.
Yeah.
About forgiveness.
Always talk to people before you act, y'all.
Not quite what I was. But
don't kill someone if they're saying, "Don't I know you?"
Yeah, for sure. It's like making sure they know your name before you get an Uber, right?
Yeah. I love like a good tragedy though. Like, I'm such a sucker for a good tragic story of like a tragic character who was once good and goes bad, and I think that it's so masterful how like the whole story is about Sweeney letting go of like almost kind of like letting go of his past and letting go of his humanity and like the love he actually had for his wife, so he could just like fully immerse himself in like this like revenge and this new like I'm gonna kill everyone kind of persona. And it's really
I'm loving
the fact that he releases that side of his humanity that leads to him ultimately not recognizing her, because like if he had only been in the right mindset or thinking more about her, he would have recognized her, but like he was just completely gone at that
but he was so blinded by his fury.
It's so sad.
Trying to totally rid yourself of pain is a very narcissistic thing to do. That's it. Self-defeating.
And also, like, you know, his whole journey is about avenging his dead wife, and he's doing that. It's a self-serving way of avenging her instead of honoring her memory. And if he had just taken the time to try to honor her, he would have realized she's right in front of me the whole time.
Exactly. He was so blinded by his rage and need for revenge that he didn't even notice she was right there.
That's the whole thing. I think again, I think it's an allegory for which apparently it is just simply an allegory for capitalism. But also each character, which again could go with the idea of capital, is just like a thing of like self-centeredness and like greed almost that is always self-defeating.
fuel themselves.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of
provide for themselves.
I'm thinking of Miss Lovett too. How like she wants that like perfect romance as well so much that it's just totally so destructive because she's trying to force it. So it's like,
well, in the Broadway play, Mrs. Lovett is actually the one to like finally kill Lucy at the very end.
Yeah,
because Sweeney he cuts her throat, but she's not dead, and so. What actually gets him to run down to the bakehouse at the very end is because Mrs. Lovett is screaming because Lucy's clawing at her skirt, and she's the one to actually like bash her.
And
head
it's violent. Yeah, exactly. It's all violent, but it's like
it's violent, but
it's like extra.
Yeah. And she, she's trying to drag her into the fire before Sweeney can get there, so that she can have this perfect romance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's she's the villain, but yeah.
Well. With that being said, Henry,
yes,
you are on the opposite, I understand, of Allie. Mm-hmm. So do you want to give us your take on Sweeney Todd?
Let's
those
go.
Note cards. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, you came with note cards for all the viewers who can't
I came with note cards. I came with a notebook. It's because late last night I was finishing rewatching the movie, and I was like, I think most of my issues with this movie are not entirely to do with the movie itself. It's issues that I have with Tim Burton.
Okay. Fair enough.
And yeah, and issues with like elements of the movie rather than the movie as a whole. Because as an adaptation, I think it's one of the better movie musical adaptations out there. It faithfully took the source material and adapted it to the movie format. And made it its own thing while still servicing the plot and what it needs to be. It's serviceable. It's fine. But my real issue, I think, is that I don't think Tim Burton should have been the director at all.
All right. Well, before we get to that, let's do a quick sponsor break.
Do you run a business and want to provide quality protection for yourself and your employees? Dunn Manufacturing provides quality protection face masks in order for your staff to experience a happy and healthy work environment. Our masks are washable and reusable. For details on our masks or to place an order, please email us at mark@dunnmfg.com. That's mark@dunnmfg.com. Please note that all proceeds of these sales will go to help the COVID-19 cause.
Because by this point,
because obviously I always do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disagree with you because the original director was Sam Mendes, and that would have been sick.
See, I think that would have been amazing. It could have been so intriguing.
There wouldn't have been nearly as much makeup, though. I would say that, and that would have been disappointing.
No, it would have had a very different aesthetic.
Been weird, but it would have been cool.
Yeah, but see the thing about Tim Burton, I loved him. I have a very complicated relationship with his movies. I loved his work when I was very young, and especially his like older film shorts, and like Edward Scissorhands and the more stylistic stuff. But as we got closer and closer to the 2000s, I think Sleepy Hollow is his last good movie. And after that, it all just sort of became this like pop culture-y, hot topic, faux goth.
Yeah, that's not
like,
a hot
trying
take.
to look edgy, but not doing anything edgy with it. You know?
I think it was really Planet of the Apes that caused it. Because that was like 2000, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he got these massive budgets.
Yeah.
Or I guess not a huge budget in that case, but he quickly became mainstream, quote unquote.
Yes. I can totally agree with that. And so like when you guys talk about the visual and the aesthetic aspect of the movie, I really wish that it looked more like Edward Scissorhands or Sleepy Hollow or like his older movies that are sort of like German expressionist, like, really, really stylistic. Whereas this just sort of, to me at least, it has a very generic, like, Charles Dickens, dirty, grimy Victorian, but nothing really special look to it. That's how I feel. But okay, so
Allie's face.
Time for the note cards. Tim Burton, I'm going to talk about him for a little. Here's my spiel. At his basic level, he makes movies about the outsider. And that's based on his own experience. He says in interviews that he always felt weird and judged and that he was this other. But you know who his movies are about? straight, thin, white men.
Gotcha.
All of them.
Yeah.
You know who else experiences the feeling of being othered?
Everyone else?
People of color, disabled people, people who are queer, people with plus size or differing body types. You know, his movies are so thin and so white and so straight. And, you know, when he does have these characters that fit different molds, plus size people or people of color, they're always side characters. They're prop pieces. They're there for comedic effect. With black people especially, they're always the villain. Oogie Boogie, the Miss Peregrine, you know, movie, the only black character is the villain. It sits in such a place in me. I can't.
No, that's a great point.
You know, it bothers me.
And it's
so
not
much.
A newly discovered thing. Yeah.
It's not a newly discovered thing. And people have asked him about it for decades. And he says in interviews, he says, things call for things or they don't. And that he's very against political correctness, that when the Brady Bunch introduced Asian and black kids, he felt like it was, you know, too forced. And that feeds into that discussion that, you know, people of color or queer people, they only belong in a narrative if they're serving a certain purpose. And that's not the truth. You know, people of color, queer people, plus size people, they existed in Victorian England, but he didn't choose to put them in that movie. And especially
movies like his, the easiest place
especially
to do
movies like him, you would think. But Stephen Sondheim's goal for Sweeney Todd was to create this story about class structures and how the upper class can keep the lower class oppressed and abused, and how that abuse manifests itself.
Yeah. And the lower class oppress themselves.
And the lower class oppress themselves. And it's literally about them eating the rich.
Yeah.
But when it's just this homogenous white group of people, I feel like it doesn't hit nearly as close to home as it could have. So let's see. He's very
next note card.
Note cards. I'm flipping through. So
can I ask a quick question? Just because, like I said, I am still like kind of a little out of the know about like the stage production. I know you're an expert.
Yeah,
it's also very white.
I was about to say, was there?
It is white because it was done in the early 70s or late 70s, early 80s.
But I'm assuming like if there were ever to be like maybe a revival at some point, it would probably be a wonderful opportunity to incorporate a lot of actors of color.
Completely. And actually this past year, there was a production done in LA where Sweeney Todd was played by a black actor.
Oh, okay.
And I felt like it was very strong.
I was about to say
it definitely, it brought a new, I guess...
layer.
A new layer to that role. And it's not something new. I mean, black men have played Sweeney for the past maybe 20 years or so. There's a production that was done with Christine Baranski as Mrs. Lovett, who should have been Mrs. Lovett in the movie. And her Sweeney was black. And I feel like it really does bring a new layer. This past fall in the Philippines, Lea Salonga played Mrs. Lovett in an all-Asian production that was restaged to take place in this sort of like post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
And the themes still fit. You know, you can have actors of different skin color. You know, it's not a prerequisite that you're white.
I think it's the thing of, and then we should probably pause for a minute because it's the
we
gotta pause.
I think it's the idea of like how you said, like his film work kind of declined at a certain time when it was at least
when he started to become mainstream,
and when the when he was entering the mainstream, and the mainstream was at least maybe starting in some ways to progress as far as just like what should be the norm. And so I think is the whole idea of kind of like being kind of left behind and not realizing it in a lot of ways. Like I think that it is, you know, I think if it's an artist, a filmmaker's right to choose the aesthetic and the appearance and everything for their films. Yeah. But if they don't, like,
but when he chooses the same white man for 8 movies in a row, Johnny Depp,
kind of.
I think that's an issue because people are missing out on roles that they maybe have been, you know, better qualified and better suited for because Johnny Depp is in love with Tim Burton and they have this bromance with each other.
I know, but nobody is making Tim Burton or stopping Tim Burton from making movies on that basis. So I think looking at him as one person is really, really minimizing the issue as a whole.
It's definitely,
he has a lot of
studios making this a possibility.
Yeah, and his aesthetic, I think, is his choice. I think, and I like his aesthetic, and I think it makes sense because, you know, like, you write what you know is the same thing you make movies with, especially his or DreamWorks. Like, I totally get it. That said, like,
and, you know, personally, I don't think Tim Burton would be the best person to be dealing with stories about, you know, other races that he doesn't understand.
It's not his place.
Yeah,
but that's also the thing. So I think but
at the same time, these stories like Sweeney Todd, they can be told by people of different skin color, different you know, sexuality, and it doesn't matter that much.
Well, yeah, I wholly agree, and that's what I'm saying. I think the biggest thing is that he's not. It's like with his work too, it's very stagnant. I think just overall he's in a place. And I think, you know, it's almost like directors who had like, oh God, I feel so bad for doing this to him all the time. But like the man who made Donnie Darko, like he had that beautiful movie and that was basically it. But like that was still his story and it's beautiful and it's part of the culture, even though he didn't do much after that. So I think like Tim Burton's aesthetic and everything, like I think he has the right to it as an artist. It's what's chosen to be embraced and pointed out is the difference. So like, and especially because, I mean, the black characters being the evil people is obviously problematic, but truly, and this isn't a justification or an excuse. I don't know how intentional that was, but the fact that it isn't noticed is, you know, is allowing for that kind of problem to continue, obviously.
I mean, we'll see, it is being noticed, and there are a ton of interviews out there where people have confronted him with this and asked him, hey, Tim Burton, why do you continue to cast all white actors in your films?
I meant by the filmmakers. I don't know whether it's noticed or not by them as well.
Well, I mean, I can tell you it's because these white people have big names, and so filmmakers think, you know, these big named white people will get butts into seats and will make a lot of money. I mean, that's why it's continually happening. But Tim Burton, as an auteur and as this person with a large platform, has the choice to cast people in his films.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's why he's falling behind, but I don't think it's totally on his shoulders, as it were. I don't think it's
solely
hateful.
on his shoulder, but at the same time, it is on his shoulder that he's choosing to put Helena Bonham Carter and Johnny Depp in all of his movies.
I know. I think it's closed-minded, but not...
The last little bit that I have, it's talking about, you know, Tim makes movies about weirdness and edginess, but he doesn't look or care to research how racism, bigotry, systemic oppression inform the mainstream concept of what is weird and edgy. He just knows that he has felt weird and edgy his entire life, but he has said that he is not an intellectual and he doesn't like to analyze things, and I feel like he's really missing out on you know, making his work better. We always have to continue learning and researching and trying to understand different experiences, or else our work does become stagnant, like you mentioned. So which is that's kind of my my biggest point is, like, I wholeheartedly agree with you on the shortcomings of such works, especially in the category they are. I do for sure think there's a place for them, but perhaps only when there are more places for everything else. Like, I don't think it's his job, nor frankly do I think it's his place to tell the stories of other people who also feel othered and oppressed and different and weird and all that stuff. But it's like, basically, to me, it's just like too bad that he's not like catching up. He's like it's just so stagnant, and to me, like, he's just he is his own demise in that way. So like, I honestly don't think it's his. Better people will fill his void as time goes on.
I really don't, but I don't think it's his responsibility any more than it is anyone else's, I suppose. I think that should be the place of society. I think it's the whole concept that has become more and more the case, I guess, or the viewpoint, which is also very oppressive just for society as a whole, that like media is the it's like media or the government both like control, like rule, like society and people as a whole, when really it's the other way around if we just remember that. So like, to me, Tim Burton is one man as opposed to like a movement and like just like the the arc of justice.
Or is he a studio? Is he, is he?
But I don't think he is a studio because his movies have not been grossing. Like, they have not been making nearly as much money. And so I think it's a natural phase out. And like, it's taken a long time for that to happen. But that's because he was kind of he was around during a time
earlier
where it was
you were
easier.
saying that he's not responsible for these choices. It's, the studios in general. So like, is it the studios or is it him? Which one?
Well, I think it goes society should be first, and usually is, especially like these days. Then the studio responds to that and picks its directors and everything. So, I mean, I think it's like a moral thing, obviously, just like being a good person with a wide scope. But I think like it's not, as an artist, his responsibility by any means.
Interesting. So anyway, that's my opinion on why I'm not a fan of Tim Burton and the direction that his films have gone in, and why I don't particularly like his Sweeney Todd, because I feel like, it's from a period where his films have become very stagnant and uninspired. So I have here a list of my thoughts on the movie itself, past Tim Burton. I'm going to list off the things that I like first, so that you guys know that there are things that I do find good. Laura Michelle Kelly first as the beggar woman. Her voice is
beautiful. Oh,
I mean, you can hear her even as this like gravelly beggar woman on the street. She still sounds.
I mistook.
So good.
She does. I was thinking of Joanna. I like her voice.
I it's like too perfect for me.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like it sounds, but I guess that sort of works for the character. I think
exactly.
Yeah, I think I like her more as like an almost like manic, like wanting to break free sort of vibe. And the Joanna in the movie feels like sort of Rapunzel sitting in the tower. Poor me.
I love how delicate she is, though.
I mean, I like that too, because she's very much like a bird in a cage, and that's what her imagery is.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. You see where it comes from.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Chloe. I didn't mean to overtalk you. You see where
that was it.
You see where it comes from.
Her character as that makes sense because she's
a bird, and so she has this perfect voice, and she's being caged. I think it works. This is like a personal taste. I wish that she had more of like her father's sort of crazy tendencies a little bit, which is how she's been portrayed in a lot of the theatrical productions. So that's like what I'm more used to.
Amazing.
Alan Rickman is so good. I miss him so much.
I know.
Why did he have to leave us?
I know.
So yeah, him as the judge is like just too perfect. And I don't think he's a trained singer either, but his voice really works. It has that like deep, imposing.
That's a famous voice.
Like almost Christopher Lee sort of vibe to it. Who was supposed to be in it originally. I don't know as what character.
That would have been amazing.
But originally in the first draft of the script,
got the hair for it.
He does. They were going to have the opening and the closing number, which were ensemble numbers. And Christopher Lee was going to be somebody singing. So I don't know if he was going to be a character that was murdered by Sweeney Todd, or lead choir, lead ghost, or whatever. But I'm really sad that was cut, because in the finale, Colleen Atwood, the costume designer, designed this dress for Mrs. Lovett where she's all like burned and charred and like bones and stuff. And that could have been so cool. I don't know. I wish that they left it in, but even as just like a post-credit thing, if they wanted to end the movie, Yeah,
because in the theater one, at the end, they're all like, this was a play, by the way. Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. Gotcha.
Like, you've just watched this work. Please remember.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And like, remember the themes that you've seen here. It's sort of like a beware. So yeah, I love when I mentioned earlier when Sweeney kills Lucy at the very end, and it's just this like sheath of red blood that goes down her neck. And then when Toby kills him, it's the same. It's not gory. It's just this like really intense, like almost subtle form. Because, when we've seen him kill people other times, it's like blood splattering. But when he and his wife die, it's just this like waterfall of blood. It gets me every time. And also that final scene, the whole finale is really good in my book, with Sweeney like covered in blood. He literally has blood on his hands. It's like a visual
It's a late Macbeth moment.
It is. It's very much, like the wringing of the hands. It's perfect. And I think, Allie, you mentioned the hues of like the city. There's like, it's really cold and dark. And then halfway through the show or the movie, in the show, it would be Act 2. The city turns into this sort of like red hue instead of the blue hue. And it mimics this bit from the play that I don't remember if it's in the movie, but it's the beggar woman. And she's like singing about how the city's on fire, and it's not really on fire, but she's singing about all of this awful stuff that's happening. And so the sort of blood red coloring of the city, it's a really nice visual effect, I think. Let's see. So that's about it on the things that I like.
Yeah.
That's a good list.
Yeah, I mean, there are some strong moments to it. Let's see. I feel like the tone of the movie is too one note for me. It's too the same.
I didn't notice that at first, but over the years, I feel that way too.
Yeah. I feel like it needs, there's the By the Sea sequence with Mrs. Lovett.
Great.
That's the best one for me. Yeah. I love that.
Little dream sequence. It's so good. And the costumes, perfection. Calling Atwood is so good. I think the reason why I love the stage version so much is because Act 1 is really, Sweeney hasn't fully descended into madness yet. And so you have a little bit of that comedic, hopeful. It's a little, maybe this isn't going to end terribly, even though we know it will. And then, once he misses his chance to kill the judge, that's when he really descends into insanity. And from then on, the show is really dark. And I feel like that works because the tone of the musical reflects his journey as a character. Whereas in the movie, it's just grim and bleak the whole time. And I feel like, when he arrives in London, he's already brooding, Sweeney, grim, dark, and it's, when he's arriving in London, he's hopeful that he'll find his wife alive. He doesn't know that she's dead. He has hope. But, when we see Johnny Depp arriving on the ship, he's like, I'm so grumpy. And it doesn't resonate to me. And overall, I feel like Johnny and Helena are too subdued as actors. And I know that you guys said that you really liked that it's like so quiet.
Yes.
But for me, I feel like there's too little. There's nothing there for me to connect with.
Okay.
Because it's a musical. It's supposed to be a little bigger than life. And when you strip away that, theatrical aspect to it, it leaves, the spirit isn't there as much. And, you're already suspending disbelief that people are going to break into song.
Yeah.
So, when you try to make it too gritty and realistic, it's like, what's the point of doing a musical then? Just make it non-musical and make it a full drama, full stop. And there actually is a drama version of Sweeney Todd with Joanna Lumley as Mrs. Lovett.
Wow,
it's
that
really
is
good.
Perfect casting. Holy bananas.
And see, now I'm like,
have I
what
seen
would have
that?
been like, I think I mentioned it to you before. And like, I think she needs, especially Mrs. Lovett, she needs that like scatterbrained all over the place energy, because that's what she was written to be by Stephen Sondheim.
But he didn't write the original.
Yes, but he wrote the musical, and this is the musical. And so the needs of the character for the show are that she is this sort of resourceful, all over the place, making the best with what she's got. And what I get from Helena is that she's just given up. She's like not involved with what's going on around her. That's how I feel.
At risk of sounding like that kid in class, can I just play devil's advocate for
yes, please play devil's advocate.
If it just, and this is genuinely just like a question.
Yeah.
So if
Allie, nobody will ever think you're coming from a mean place ever for a minute in your life.
I know you're coming from a good place, Allie.
You literally got in your high school, I don't know if y'all know this, Allison got the superlative most likely to make your day.
That makes sense.
Or I didn't get.
It's true.
Look at this.
I think I was like actually one of the finals. I don't think I got.
That's not true. I've seen the picture. I've seen it. I remember we were in that hotel room looking through your yearbook. Okay, so don't front. Everyone knows I got memory like an elephant.
Elephants have great memory.
And the step,
You do
too.
love your elephants, Chloe.
I love elephants. Oh my God.
The little plaster paper mache ones. They're so cute. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be real
Allie,
fast
please
because I
go.
know I'm
Please
like
go.
dragging y'all off course. I'm just curious, like just in terms of your interpretation, because Chloe was even saying how it reminds me of what Chloe was saying, and I very strongly agree with her that the movie is so much a different format from the movie is a musical, but it's so different.
And the songs are inner monologue, which is what works for me. I feel like that's when they can let go because they're like singing, but outside there.
Exactly, and that's like what I mean is that like when you're talking about like Helena didn't bring it because that was the way like Sondheim designed Mrs. Lovett to be, but just like similar to how Sondheim made Mrs. Lovett his own with his musical interpretation of the original story. The movie is also in a way like Tim Burton then taking the musical
his
and
veneer on
him taking it. It's like several degrees removed, but it's like you could also argue with like every single artistic rendition there is a different interpretation of the characters, a different interpretation of the tone of the story.
Otherwise it's bad if there isn't any of it.
Well, I mean, it's like, you know, you have Angela, you have Helena, you have Patty.
You have Patty. Hers is wow.
She's got a tuba.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And her look? Yes.
Allie, please continue. I think we got
that was really it. I was just going to say like,
I was thinking the same.
I was just going to point out like, and not so much like I'm coming at you or anything. I'm just more so saying like I'm pointing out, I guess like the way I see it is I don't compare Mrs. Lovett to a prior interpretation of what Mrs. Lovett's supposed to be because the movie is so already its own individual piece, its own individual interpretation. Yeah. But I can imagine if I grew up watching the original Sondheim version, I would probably think
And see, that's where I'm coming from, because when the movie came out, I was very much like in love with Tim Burton, you know, a huge fan of his work, and my parents wouldn't let me see the movie because they thought it was too gory. So they were like, here, go to the Chapel Hill Public Library and watch the Angela Lansbury version because there's less blood. And so that's what I grew up watching for like, you know, not quite a decade, but for many, many years, all I had experienced was the original. And so I, you know, that's what I've internalized as, you know, the definitive version to me. And so seeing something else that's like inspired by it, I can't help but draw those comparisons. Absolutely. Whereas I think if I had seen the movie first and then, you know, done research on the Broadway version, it would have been easier for me to like, you know, have that disconnect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't remember which one of you mentioned the inner monologues. Where it's Chloe, where it's like they're singing and it's an inner monologue.
It wasn't me.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
It was Henry, obviously. You've been chit-chatting away.
How dare you? So an issue for me is that the chorus is missing. You know, you don't have this ensemble of people singing. And even in the songs where they are present, like More Hot Pies at the beginning of Act 2, they're very quiet. And in the musical, the chorus represents this sort of like collective mob mentality. Like, you know, everybody is a little bit crazy. They're all feeling the effects of this oppression. Whereas in the movie, it feels like it's isolated. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And thereby less warranted, maybe.
Yeah. It feels like, you know, a big point in the stage musical is that Sweeney Todd could be anyone, you know, in the number where they sing to the audience, they're like, isn't that him beside you? Because anybody could have become Sweeney in this setting. But, you know, in the movie, it feels more like this isolated serial killer guy.
Which, to be honest, is probably closer to why I liked him more. Because it was like, I don't know this man. I'm like Keke Palmer. I have never seen this man.
Yeah. I'm
sorry to this man.
I'm sorry to this man. Keke, give me a version of Sweeney Todd where Keke is Mrs. Lovett.
Wait. Richard Madden as Sweeney Todd and Keke Palmer as Mrs. Lovett. I mean, it's coming together. I'm down.
It's coming together. Wow. Let's make this, Chloe. That can be our fairy tale theater interpretation of Sweeney.
Yeah, like we'll have fairy tale theater after dark. That's what it'll be.
Yeah, well, you know, Shelley Duvall did like a horror story. It was only like 6 episodes, but it's a fairy tale theater horror thing.
Oh, yeah. I do know those.
It wasn't a success. Nobody
they were with the
it.
box set. I was too scared to ever watch them, but I had.
Yeah, but that's what ours can be.
That's what yours can be. I'm gonna be a little asleep in my bed. Unless Richard Madden's in it, then maybe I'll roll up.
Well, of course he's gonna be.
I'll be the hairstylist.
Yeah. So one of my favorite songs from the musical was cut. It's "Kiss Me." It's between Anthony and Joanna. It's really sweet, and it gives their two characters a moment to bond and form an actual relationship.
I feel you.
And maybe they don't need a relationship because she's just clutching on to this one chance to escape.
Exactly. That was my whole thing.
They don't need an established relationship.
Everybody's dreaming and fabricating what they want.
They're projecting and trying to find those escapes. And so
but that is a cute song.
But it's a cute song, and it gives them, a really sweet relationship. And, presumably at the end of the show, they're the only two people alive besides Toby, I think. And so, giving them this one moment.
Toby. Little movie, Toby. Can we?
Wow. Well, can I say one more thing before we talk about Toby?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the music, Sondheim was inspired by the Dies Irae chant, Dies Irae, the theme of death that's been played in classical music for centuries.
Yeah.
And all of his songs are some riff
I only know chopsticks.
It's okay. It's a riff on the Dies Irae. It's been remixed and shuffled around, but all of the songs relate to Dies Irae except for Kiss Me, which is the only happy, hopeful song because it doesn't have this underlying death in it. And so when they remove that from the movie, I think that's what contributes again to that one note feel for me because it's all just that Dies Irae. What did you want to say about Toby, Chloe?
It's cute.
It's cute.
Just it.
Yeah. I actually didn't hate Toby in the movie. I normally don't like kids in musicals.
He was adorable. He was talented little thing. Oh my god.
Yeah, I thought he was very good and did a good job of being freaked out by what's going on around him. Let's see. I already talked about Joanna and not shooting the guy, which I wish she did. Oh, David St. Louis. That's the name of the black actor who played Sweeney Todd in LA last year. I just wanted to say that. Okay, Helena. Listen, my girl.
Man. I
love Helena. I love her. Hit the mute. No, I wish that her Mrs. Lovett was a combination of Bellatrix and the fairy godmother from Cinderella. Put those two together. That's the energy I need from her. Not this
so true though.
Wistful sighing.
I love her though. I love her.
I love her. I love Helena Bonham Carter, but I think having her then partner directing her really put a damper on her creativity. Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely true. He told her not to use
if it had been someone that she wasn't connected to, I feel like she could have, done something more interesting with the role, because she said in an interview that it was Tim who continually told her to bring it back because she started out a lot more, dramatic. And I if there's a cut of the movie out there where it's the same except Helena is just
flailing,
being her crazy self, I want to see that so bad because I really do. I love her in absolutely everything except for this movie, just because I feel like there's no energy. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
That's my feelings.
Those are beautiful.
I do.
I really respect that. I genuinely do. And I knew coming into this, I've not really seen the full-fledged stage production, so I was really excited to hear how it was different, for sure.
Cool. Yeah. And, respects to the movie, I understand it's really hard to make a movie. I'm a theater person, not a movie person. So, I'm coming with that baggage.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fine movie. I do think it's a good movie. I just don't like it as an adaptation of Sweeney Todd the musical. In a vacuum, its own thing, I think it's serviceable. It is, when it does something good, it does it really good. Colleen Atwood's costumes are so perfect, and the layering of dark material over brighter colors to add that grime. It's, and anyway.
Guys, that's the beauty of movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody comes from their own place with their own Michigas, and they can all watch the same thing, and then they can talk about with each other, which really...
And they have different experiences.
And it shares different perspectives, and it shares pieces of who you're talking to, and it's just beautiful.
It's just a little bit of love.
Wow.
Sharing.
Hello.
Okay, Henry, what are your thoughts?
He likes it a lot.
You like it? You like Johnny?
Don't.
I guess a lot of has been covered, so I guess I'll give more general thoughts. Now, I love Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
There's some stuff coming out in the press right now. Not ideal. Not great.
Really? I can't keep up, man.
His
It's been a minute.
Not divorce, but his with Amber Heard. They're in court right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this has been like
her for like slander and defamation of characters.
Yeah.
He's the one coming at her now saying,
because at first it was her coming at him, and now he's coming at her, and it's
there's still a lot of tea.
It's ugly.
It's divisive. I feel like there's a lot of stuff happening that we don't know.
I think the movie,
like,
don't do drugs.
Yeah. Also, don't abuse each other, no matter what your gender identity is. Just don't abuse people.
With what you said, Henry, I think there are movies of Tim Burton's that I like after Planet of the Apes, but I think that was a marker that really he just changed something about him.
Yeah.
This is probably his best recent movie of what he's done. I like Frankenweenie. I don't know if that's I enjoy that.
Frankenweenie.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
I like the original short.
And I remember being like obsessed with the movie when this came out, and over the years, I still like it a fair bit. It's gone down a little bit. I do find the tone to be a little monotonous at this point. I love Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter in this together. I think they work really well. I don't have a lot of knowledge of the other. So I don't really have things to compare to for better or worse. I really like what? Please.
Can I interrupt real quick? Okay, when the pandemic is over with,
we can watch
done, and we can all be in the same room together. We need to watch the Hamilton live taping for Chloe, then we need to watch the live stage version of Sweeney Todd together, like all of us.
I would love it.
Yeah,
I'll fly up just for that,
please.
Aww.
Yeah,
and then you can stay if you want, but
yeah, you can stay here.
I really like the two of them together. I love Sacha Baron Cohen as well. I think he's great in this, and I also like the little boy.
He's
hilarious.
He's good in everything.
He's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Toby.
In terms of criticisms, I actually find the middle of the movie to be a little heavy on the music. I find that there are a lot of songs. Not that they're poorly written. It's just that there are points where there are a lot of extended songs, and I'm kind of just getting a little tired of it. I actually enjoy just the regular story in this a lot.
Yeah.
No,
we're not musical people.
I don't mind musicals. They've really grown on me over the years. So it's not like if it's a musical, I'm dreading it. It's just that having rewatched it many times at this point, that's something that I always notice. But I think it...
Try singing along next time. He'll do it for you.
What was I going to say? What's up?
Yes.
I thought of something, but I'm not going to say it on the podcast, but I'm going to tell you guys later. Okay. It's a really good idea.
Okay.
Love it.
I do like the movie a lot. I think it looks very good for the most part. I think it flows well, and it's written by the creator of Penny Dreadful, and I think he's incredibly talented as a writer.
Yeah,
Reeve.
He also wrote Rango, which I love. Yeah.
Hey, that's my plane movie, man.
Good.
Oh shoot! I keep on losing my train of thought. The pressure. I have so many eyes on me.
I know.
That's true.
History has its eyes on you. You can
I think it was Henry. You were talking about certain things being cut. I think whether it's due to the pacing or what, I actually think it could lose some. I actually find it goes on a little long.
Yeah.
And I like the final sequence where he cuts the throat, but I do find after the happy dream sequence, the by the sea one, I actually kind of think it drags after that.
Yeah.
I think the by the sea is a big moment of excitement and emotion, and then I'd find it kind of dips down after that.
Yeah. And it just drips. I think after that point is when a lot of stuff was cut from the show, the Broadway version. So maybe that could have.
I love Alan Rickman. I love Alan Rickman. I think he's great in it, where he's talking about the kid gandering at his. I love that line. Yeah. I don't know if I have a lot else to say that hasn't been covered. I think it's solid. It's gone down a little bit over time. It wouldn't be top 3 Tim Burton, but it still really sticks with me for various reasons. I love Johnny Depp in this. I think he's great. I see your argument though, Henry, about the change of tone and style. Yeah. Just not knowing a lot else about the show itself, that doesn't really affect me all that much. Although I would be curious to see what you're just talking about.
Yeah. Well, I think the original is very much inspired by like the double act vaudeville style of like historical theater, and like that's what it's meant to emulate. And so I think going from that to something that's completely different is just like a big jump. Yeah. For me personally, but
but that is part
of the value. If you're not bringing that with you.
That's part of the value of this movie is like it'll make people interested to something that's maybe not. Yeah. You know.
There you go. Yeah.
Bingo.
They would have noticed before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dope. Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, is anything else? Okay. Anything else about Sweeney Todd?
Nah. Hey.
Okay.
I think we're Sweeney Todded out.
This is really let me say, very happy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, this made me think twice, but I still like my cheeseburgers.
Or gluten. I'm really in the clear here, and I don't go to the barber.
I'm the only one that wondered what human tasted like.
Absolutely.
After watching this,
absolutely.
Clearly, they tasted pretty good in Sweeney Todd.
No, thank you.
Right? If the people are like, obsessed with these pies,
better than cats.
Okay, well.
Also, I just want to say it's always been a dream of mine to play Mrs. Lovett in drag in like a theater show. It's something I want to do. I've always wanted to design costumes for the show, but I would also love to just like play Mrs. Lovett.
That'd be amazing.
Because I don't have the voice for Sweeney. I can't do it. But Mrs. Lovett doesn't have to sound good.
You have a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you.
You're more trained than Johnny Depp.
I can't sustain.
Yeah. For the record, I like his voice.
Great, everyone.
I get it. I get it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hollywood vampires. Yeah.
It's gravelly.
Yeah.
I like his voice.
I like it when he's kneeling.
I don't know. It has this like gruff quality that's
like the rocker quality. I like.
Which given I'm not a huge rock person, so that's maybe
you're
I
talking to the wrong people
silky.
With the
it's okay. It's okay.
Sorry, y'all. Give me Len Cariou. Give me George Hearn.
Okay.
Give me Michael Ball with Imelda Staunton. He did it. He did it with Imelda Staunton. It's so good.
So sorry. Live your best life. I love that.
Oh my goodness.
He's just funny to me. I'm sorry. He's great.
Yeah,
it seems like I don't know, Henry. I can't tell you.
Well, he is a comedic person because he played Sweeney Todd on stage, which is a black comedy.
True.
So
there we go.
It makes sense.
Well, Henri, I feel like we should save our
So I was going to say we are running pretty long. So I think but really having you two here, it was about the reviews. So I don't mind skipping that other stuff.
Honestly, maybe reinvigorated the emotion for the theater buds over here.
Now, quickly, out of 5 stars for everybody. It's a 4 for me, heavy 4. Okay.
Probably a 4.5 for me.
3, okay.
It's a solid 3.
It's like when they bring you the wrong thing, but like you're not allergic to anything in it, like it's still good. You like never would have. It's not something you ever would have chosen. But you're like, okay, I can rock with this.
I've always wanted to just be present when Chloe comes
it's great
for random.
It's great.
That's always been a goal.
Now you have,
and now I'm here. It's like seeing your favorite band in concert. Like it's happening.
Wow.
I feel so lucky.
I'm really feeling that kind of.
It's witnessing like artistry happen in the moment.
I love it.
Spoken word poetry, improvisation.
I was actually thinking the wrong salad from the Loop, Allie, so it's even more context for you. And like, but it's still good. You're a little gassier than you would have liked to be, though.
No.
But it's just called artichoke, not any dairy or anything like that. You know what I mean? No people in there. So.
Okay.
Oh, I miss the Loop.
Now I want the Loop.
Well, I guess that about does it for the show. It's been a wonderful time. Yeah.
What a time, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was so much fun.
Really, getting to be,
I love
not that this is bad at all, getting to be the listener was great. You know, yeah.
Hey, you're hopping on my bandwagon with my whole Hamilton angle that I made up.
New segment.
I know. Talk.
No.
I'm sorry, you bring two
again,
theater
I really
people
like
into the show. We're going to talk.
So it's okay. Now, next week on the show, I'm not sure. There is that new Charlize Theron Netflix movie coming out. The Old Guard, I think it's called. It's some action movie. We'll figure it out, but just stay updated on social media. Yeah, go to thefilmbuds.com if you're...
So easy.
Yes.
Let Henri do the work for you.
Well,
that's what I do.
It's all good.
You know, honestly, thank you, Henri, for
it's
editing
pleasure.
all the
Isn't
audio
he the best?
together.
Yeah, and it might...
doing this amazing stuff.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
I tell you, he's a desk clamp. The most valuable, important thing in the room. You rely on it. It is paramount.
Always there for you.
Thank you so much.
Success and happiness always there for you, but like
sheds light on a situation and
thank you.
But it's easy to
illuminates.
Dang. But you know, the desk clamp don't talk, so it's like you
Not
talk,
much.
Henry, but you know, it's a metaphor.
I'll take your word for it.
Don't take it. It's not, you know, obviously there's no light bulb as far as I know within you. So there's some differences, but my point is,
y'all are the best
Henry's
too.
the best. Not that you know.
But yeah,
so exciting! What an inaugural episode for
yes,
dear Allison.
I'm so honored to be here for
and a wonderful
first
return
episode.
from Wilkinson.
And it was again, it was great to see everybody.
Very happy.
And you two are welcome back anytime. And you are too, Chloe.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Okay.
Yes.
I just assume Chloe
that goes
always,
unsaid, but
Chloe,
yeah.
Yes.
I leave my Zoom
24/7.
Okay, well, cool.
Yeah.
Also, Chloe, Allie, we need to do our art painting Zoom thing that we talked about one time.
Henry, you're welcome as well.
Thank
if you want to.
And you're welcome too, Henry, if you want to
Okay.
We'll make it happen.
I love it.
Yeah,
we really should. I love it.
It has been.
Yeah.
This has been beautiful. That's the moral of the story. If you're gonna have a migraine, you might as well get it from people you love. You know.
All right. Well,
That's a great thing.
Yeah.
I hope you feel better too, Chloe.
I hope you feel better, Chloe. I'm sending
Thank you. I'm good. I'm good. I hope everyone out there is good.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show.
Dang! Dang! Oh my God! A 4,976,856,000,000.
Only got 2 minutes.
Nope. Yep. 480. I just hope that you love it like I love it, and I love you. And goodbye till next week, and see you. And the buddies are great, and you're great.
We'll see you next time.
And bye.